Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, November 13th, 2022. This is episode 1944. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by OnLogic. OnLogic is helping innovators around the world solve their most complex technology challenges using OnLogic industrial computers, which are engineered for reliability, even in environments that would challenge or destroy traditional computer hardware. They're pretty amazing. Learn more and find out about OnLogic's 30-day risk-free hardware trial by visiting onlogic.com/twit. And by Code Comments, an original podcast from Red Hat that lets you listen in on two experienced technologists as they describe their building process and what they've learned from their experiences. Search for Code Comments in your podcast player. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all of that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number if you want to talk high tech. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you should probably call using Skype or something like that. It should still be free. Skype out, the thing that can call a landline, some sort of internet thing. 8888 Ask Leo. Website is techguylabs.com. I mentioned that so you don't have to write anything down. If you're listening and you hear something and you say, oh, I want to remember that, you don't have to. We will. We'll put it all up there. Links, a transcript of the show, even audio and video from the show after the fact. It all goes at techguylabs.com. That's free, by the way, no sign up. It's actually taking you to the Tech Guy page on our podcast site, the podcast network I run. Twit, not Twitter. I don't care what Elon calls himself. Twit, not Twitter. TWIT.tv is where you'll be going, actually, if you hit techguylabs.com. And you'll see a bunch of other geeky shows there. Should you go through geek withdrawal during the week, Monday through Friday? I tell you, it's been a crazy week, a crazy couple of weeks. Between Elon Musk kind of destroying Twitter, we may not see the full impact of it yet, but I think it's coming soon because now word came out. So he fired half the employees, bought Twitter on October 27th, 2 weeks ago. Fired half the employees a week later. Now comes word he's fired 80% of the contract employees. Those people are actually pretty important to any social network. Those are the poor folks, usually low-paid workers in countries where the cost of living is lower, who have the horrible job of moderating graphic content, things like that. So he had marketing teams, he had moderation, that's what they call moderation teams and others. Fired of the 5,500 of them, fired 4,400 of them. And they fired them in a kind of nasty way because they're not employees, right? They're contract employees. Silicon Valley loves hiring people for under 40 hours a week so they don't have to pay them benefits. They usually go right to the limit, which I think is 30. So they don't have to pay them benefits. And one of the benefits they don't have to pay is severance. In fact, apparently, they didn't even bother telling these people they've been let go. They just cut them off. They turned off their access to the company messaging systems, their email, and this whatever technologies they were using to do their jobs. Just, stopped working. Well, I guess I'm unemployed now. Maybe Elon's right. Smart guy, right? Not for nothing is he the richest man in the world, but, well, at least he was. I don't know. Probably not anymore. But, he's done well. And I presume he knows how to run a business. He must, right? So maybe he looked at it and said, oh, I can tell. I can just spot it with my nose. There's too many people working. I'm just going to fire most of them. Okay, we'll see. Well, yeah, maybe. Probably a lot of them were excess. We're seeing that this week also. Meta fired 11,000 people. Wow. I think it was, 13% of the workforce. There's a lot of people. But remember, what happened with all these companies during COVID was a boom time for them. Not so much for the rest of us. Yeah, right? But during COVID, because we stayed home and we used technology really heavily, it was a boom time for tech companies. Stock went up. They made trillions of dollars in aggregate. And they hired people, right? They needed them. Well, now they're letting them go. And I think some of for instance, in the case of Meta, they're still have more employees than they did before COVID. So Twitter, not quite that case. But anyway, that's been interesting. And then there's the collapse of crypto, which is interesting only if you don't have any cryptocurrency. I pray that you do not. And I hope that you have, if you do, that you have gotten out, made yourself whole, because it's just, I think the fires are just getting lit right now. FTX, you might have seen that the FTX ads, on sporting events. You maybe during the Super Bowl, you saw Tom Brady and his wife, the supermodel Gisele Bündchen, doing an ad for FTX, and they're lounging in their luxurious home. And Tom says, "I'm going to make a trade," and she says, "You're not going back to the Patriots." He says, "No, I mean on FTX." You might have seen those ads. Maybe you saw Matt Damon last year, almost exactly a year ago, with the ads, fortune favors the brave. Remember that? He's wandering and look at the Wright brothers. And, the whole crypto industry has really tried to create this impression that we are super smart. We have invented something brand new that's transformative, and you would be foolish not to get involved. Except now it's looking more and more like it might have been a pyramid scheme. And if you create a pyramid scheme and you're the early people, what do you tell the new people? Oh, this is your big chance to make it big. And if you don't believe me, well, you're just a boomer. You're just old-fashioned. You don't have courage. Well, if you had the courage to buy Bitcoin, let's say, when Matt Damon told you to, you'd kind of be unhappy right now. It's gone from $60,000 when that ad was out to $16,000 today, a year later. So I think anybody who bought at that time has lost, what? That's $44,000 per coin. And if you had put money into FTX or some of these other crypto exchanges, FTX was run by a guy who was lionized on the cover of Fortune magazine. SBF, they called him. You're a big shot when you just call you by your initials. SBF, Samuel Bankman-Fried, who, young guy in his 20s, he'd worked for a hedge fund, and he said, "You know what? I'm going to start a crypto exchange, FTX." And at the same time, and this is where I don't know, we're finding out, he might have gotten a little trouble. He also started a trading company called Alameda Research, which invested, it was funded by FTX in a way that, had it been securities, stocks, would have been kind of blatantly illegal. But it was crypto, and fortune favors the brave. And anyway, he's apparently he's being held in the Bahamas, where he lives, where the company's headquartered. Arrested, sort of, yeah, sort of arrested. He can't leave. He was, his private jet flew to Buenos Aires, Everybody thought, oh, he's going to Argentina. And then the Bahamian authorities said, no, he's about to leave for Dubai where there's no extradition. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. With my money, probably. Yeah, I don't know. But he was worth $92 billion when Fortune magazine did that cover story on him earlier this year. You know how much he's worth today? Less than zero. Which is fine with me. What I feel bad for is anybody who put their money in FTX. FTX, it all started when there was a run on the bank. FTX, people who had stored their Bitcoin wallets or cryptocurrency wallets with FTX said, we want our money, $6 billion worth in one day. And FTX said, we have this is what they called a liquidity crisis. We don't have the money is what they should have said. A liquidity crisis. And now, apparently, they've filed for bankruptcy. Chapter 11, but we'll see. That's just the reorganization. We'll see. And then there's Crypto.com. You see their ads everywhere. They just renamed the arena in Los Angeles. It's Crypto.com Arena, right? This is twice now they've sent money to the wrong person. They admit they accidentally sent $416 million to another crypto exchange. They got it back. They got it back, but you might worry. You just might worry about that a little bit. FTX says, we were hacked and $600 million has disappeared. What do you bet? It was going to disappear on a private jet somewhere. What do you bet? An FTX account administrator wrote on the FTX support telegram, FTX has been hacked. FTX apps are malware, delete them. This is FTX saying that. And don't go on the FTX site. It might download Trojans. The message was pinned by General Counsel, FTX General Counsel, the head lawyer. Yeah. So I'm not going to say I told you so, although I did. I'm just mentioning that. But I pray you didn't get caught up in all of this. It's very easy, and here's what I think happens. Technology is complicated, hard to understand. Even, pretty sophisticated technology gurus, and I'll include myself, found it difficult to understand what was going on with all of this. At some point, though, I came to the conclusion, I think many did, that, this is just a pyramid scheme, and you shouldn't get involved. I think I told you this when NFTs, people were selling NFTs for millions of dollars. I said, maybe not. FTX had that ad with Larry David, the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm, playing a boomer. Remember this? And the whole premise of the ad was, don't be a Larry. It said, don't be like Larry, who said no to everything, the wheel, the indoor toilet. He says no to everything, and he said, crypto, I don't think so. Don't be like Larry. Turns out it would have been a good thing to be like Larry. Larry was smart. And I hope Larry got paid in cash, not crypto, for his appearance in the ads. So what is the lesson of the last couple of weeks? One, we should perhaps not idolize billionaires. Sometimes they got there just by chance, sometimes by greed, sometimes by corruption, sometimes by grift. But just because somebody's in the 3 comma club, in their net worth, doesn't make them a genius. And, one of the good things about the way the internet plays out is, I suspect probably you go back in time. In fact, I think we know now a little bit that Thomas Edison was not the amazing fellow we thought he was. He stole a lot of those ideas, including the light bulb. That Henry Ford was kind of not a nice man, Sure, he invented the assembly line. That's worked out well for shareholders. But they didn't have to live in public. Nowadays, our billionaires choose to tweet and talk and put out TikToks. And now we kind of know. Maybe they're not such geniuses. The problem is because technology is complicated and obscure, I think a lot of people didn't trust themselves in their gut. They said, well, it seems like, how could that be? But you know what? It's technology. It's probably great technology. How could it be? So have we learned a lesson here? Technology, putting a thin coating of technology over something doesn't make it okay, doesn't make it work, doesn't make it better. We're seeing that with AI, a thin coating of AI and everything. We've seen a thin coating of crypto and blockchain and everything. Doesn't make it better. Doesn't necessarily make it better. And don't be fooled. Don't let your feeling like, oh, I don't get it. I don't get it. Give you too much courage. I don't know if fortune favors the brave. It certainly didn't favor Matt Damon. And again, I hope you got paid in cold hard cash. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Let's take some calls right after this. You will not hear that if you call 8888 Ask Leo. Instead, you'll hear the dulcet tones of this woman right here, Ms. Kim Schaffer, our phone angel. Hello, Kim.
Hello. You have dulcet tones. I don't think I do.
No, you do. People love, and they love your laugh. They love your laugh.
My laugh. I have my mom's shrill voice.
No, you don't. You sound great. You know, I'm not gonna just give you kind compliments or anything, but you're a very important part of this show here, because without you, people would just come on the air.
Well, it would be like Larry. What's his face?
Larry
King.
David?
No, Larry King.
Larry King.
Hey, caller.
You know, so I wonder, did he not have anybody? You would just call and he'd pick you up.
I don't know how that worked. I think we've discussed this before.
He would say,
we don't know the inner workings.
Paducah Kadaki.
Yeah. Somebody knew, obviously, from...
They must have screened a little bit. They screened
it a little bit.
They had to.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well.
Hello.
Hi.
Happy Sunday.
Yes.
Who should I? You didn't have any money in FTX, did you?
Not in that. I bought a little Doge and a little Light. Not very much, but it's tanked.
Yeah, you know, I asked my daughter
$100,000
because remember Abby said
she wanted the Shiba Inu.
Yeah, she wanted a meme. They call those meme coins, and I said, well, don't. And I think she did. And I asked her the other day, how's your Shiba Shinabudu going? Your Doge.
Yeah.
And she said, I don't know, but I had to declare it.
Well, don't you only they keep asking me for my tax information in that Robinhood app, and I refuse to give it to them because I'm not taking it out.
By the way,
it can just sit there, right?
Robinhood was one of the companies that FTX saved, along with BlockFi. These are companies that had currency crunches, liquidity crunches, and Samuel Bankman-Fried came running in and said, "I'll save you." But it turns out, I think the whole thing was all to polish his reputation, because he was saving people with this phony baloney FT coin. So I don't know. Well, this will be one of those where there'll be a HBO series about it. What, did we run out of time already? Okay, I can't talk to you anymore. Sam Abuelsamid is coming up to talk cars. Then we'll take some calls. What have I done? Leo with Laporte, the tech guy.
Yesterday we talked for a long time and that didn't happen. But today I guess you must have been later on the other side.
My clock must be all messed up. I need a new clock. Oh, Lordy. Well, thanks, Kim. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Sam.
Hello, Leo.
How are you today?
Good. Had a chance to ride a couple of e-bikes yesterday for the first time.
Oh, aren't they fun?
Yeah. What kind do you have a Rad Power?
I do. I have the Rad City Step Through, and Lisa has the Rad Rover, the fat tire one. Okay. And must have ridden some new ones, right? Because those are old.
Yeah, I was in Austin for Electrify Expo.
Oh, fun.
I was doing a fireside chat with Mark Bowl from GM Energy on Friday for their industry day. And so yesterday I went over and checked out the public day for a little bit, rode a couple of e-bikes, rode a couple of bikes from a company called Specialized that range between $4,000 and $6,000.
Yeah. Michael has a Specialized. It's very expensive, but it looks more like a regular bike.
Yeah. I tried one from Bulls with a new Bosch e-bike system, powertrain system on there. $5,600.
Yeah, they can be expensive. But even the rad power bikes are like $1,500. They're much more expensive than regular bikes because the batteries are very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I love our e-bikes. We just love them. Ride them all over the place. It's really fun. You don't have to worry about hills.
That's true.
Yeah.
We don't have a whole lot of hills around here, but it's fun. It's just fun. I really might buy a couple of bikes for my wife and I next year.
Yeah. So we had the first one I got was one that looks kind of like an old motorcycle. I think it was called System 78 or something 78. And it's really cool.
Wasn't that the Linux computer you had?
No, that's the System 76. What is the e-bike? Let me see if I can find the name of that. It was an early Super 73. That's what it was.
Okay.
It was an early e-bike, but I liked it because it looked like kind of like an Indian motorcycle. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm. They had all kinds of them there. They had all kinds of stuff at this Electrify Expo. It's kind of a combination of a car show and ride and drive event.
Fun.
So they had a bunch of different electric vehicles, ranging from Kia EV6 up to Volvos and Lucid Airs that you could drive. And then all kinds of e-bikes and scooters and even electric motorcycles from Livewire.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Honda's got a electric moped coming out, which looks pretty cool.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of electric stuff coming. Yeah. Electric two-wheelers, some moped and scooters and motorcycles, variety of stuff. Scooter X put the Super 73 in.
Yeah, that's it. The Super 73. Yeah. If I have to say, if there were somewhere to ride it safely, but the roads around here, I just very nervous about riding a bike on the roads around here. I used to ride in San Francisco. I used to commute on a bike, and breathe a lot of exhaust. Yeah,
well, the e-bike would be great in San Francisco.
Well, you need it for the hills, but the problem, there's so much. I was coming in from the avenues. It was good. I liked it. I really enjoyed it, but eventually what happens, I get very nervous because you have one too many close calls, and then you don't want to do it anymore. All right, here we go. Our show today brought to you by OnLogic. We were talking about the Raspberry Pi, which I just love that idea. It's a great little computer for kids and for hobbyists. And I got to show you this because this reminds me of it a little bit. This is not for kids or hobbyists by any means. This is for industrial applications. This is an OnLogic personal computing device for industry, for tough environments. This is so cool. This is, I think, the number one thing that, if you look at trends in computing, the number one trend these days is computing moving to the edge. Computing intelligence everywhere, right? In everything. We're surrounded by computers now. OnLogic makes computers that make things smart. You'll be amazed if you look around a little bit. You'll find these distinctive orange industrial and embedded computers everywhere. I hope you don't see one, but you might on a crash cart in a hospital. You might see one in a factory. They power advanced robotics, AI, automation, digital media solutions. They're used widely in agriculture. Your neighborhood farm may well have an OnLogic running everything, right? It's the first choice in industrial computing for innovators around the world who need computing power that can survive and thrive where traditional hardware is going to go, nope, no way. OnLogic designs, these are amazing. Designs and creates computing solutions that can fit in the palm of your hand while powering everything from advanced robotics and AI to manufacturing automation, digital media solutions, smart agriculture technologies, because these are engineered specifically for reliability. Many of these computers, the ones I have here actually, are passively cooled. No fans. See the fins? And so that means no air, no dust is sucked into the device. Many of these are ventless. So the internal components are protected from any airborne contaminants. But talk about power. I mean, look at this. This is 4 different Wi-Fi radios you can choose on this one. This is a nice little device. This one does have some vents, a micro SIM. It's got 2 USB 2, 2 USB 3.2. Auto ignition, watchdog, LED 4, 3, 2, and 1. Look at these LEDs, of course, completely programmable. On the back, dual 10 gig Ethernet ports. You've got a display port. These are man, some of these have i9s in them. You can have a variety of processors. It's really brilliant. They're engineered specifically for reliability. Many OnLogic computers are sitting in factory floors, in farms where they've got to be sealed, protected from dust and airborne contaminants. Also, because it's a completely solid-state device, no moving parts, so it protects against shock and vibration. But there are many, many designs. That's the beauty of it. You can get a design that's just right for your particular application. Other design features and specialized components protect systems from extreme temperature, from interference. They are extensively tested to operate reliably wherever they're needed. You'll see them in remote mining operations. As I said, on a medical cart, in a hospital. The team at OnLogic cares about creating the right solutions tailored specifically to solve your unique technology challenges. OnLogic partners with leading software companies like AWS to enable rapid evaluation and deployment of edge computing solutions. OnLogic has a line of AWS IoT Greengrass compatible computers vetted and approved by AWS, so you get the peace of mind. It's going to work right out of the box. If you need a computing solution that can easily be configured to your particular needs, supported by industry experts who are just a phone call, website, chat, or email away, delivered to you quickly, the team at OnLogic is ready to help. You're going to find a passionate, committed, enthusiastic team of individuals who want your application to sing. They're there to make it shine. To get started and learn more about OnLogic's 30-day risk-free hardware trial, go to onlogic.com/twit. That's onlogic, onlogic.com/twit. And they ain't getting these back, by the way. I've got all sorts of things I can do with these. onlogic.com/twit. We thank you so much for supporting the Tech Guy. Don't forget, you support the Tech Guy when you use that special address that way. They know you saw it here. onlogic.com/twit. It's time for Sam Abuelsamid. He's our car guy, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights, host of the Wheel Bearings podcast, and a regular on the show here. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
You're a traveling guy. You go all over the place. You were in Austin.
I just hit diamond medallion status on Delta for this year.
Nice, I guess.
Too much time in airplanes.
Yeah, I don't miss spending less time in airplanes. I have to say, I don't miss spending time in airplanes. I like. Never mind. What's up in the
you like the destination, not the journey.
I love the destination. I don't really enjoy it. You know what? The airplane's not so bad. It's the airports I don't like. Waiting in airports.
That's true.
Yeah.
Although, if you can get into the lounge, one of the benefits of getting the diamond status is a free Delta Sky Lounge membership. So I was hanging out there for a couple hours yesterday before my flight home.
That's not so bad. Yeah.
But the reason I was in Austin, Texas the last couple of days is I was there for Electrify Expo, which is an event that is put on. They do 5 of them a year in different locations. They do one in Miami, New York, Seattle, Long Beach, and Austin. And there are other similar events. I know, for example, my local utility here in Michigan, during the course of the summer and early fall, they did a series of these ride and drive events with EVs, trying to get people exposure to EVs. Because one of the things that people realize, one of the things they've found is that once people have actually been exposed to an EV, that they've either had a chance to drive one or ride in one, they are much more inclined to buy one. And so these kinds of events where you get a chance to, learn about the vehicles and go for test drives in them are a great opportunity. So I highly recommend, if you happen to be in one of these locations where you're doing an Electrify Expo or some other similar event, or your local utility sends out a notice saying, hey, we're going to have some EVs available for you to try out, this Saturday, sign up and come on down and check them out. Definitely take a look, go down and check it out. I think they said they sold out about 15,000 tickets for this event in Austin over the weekend, yesterday and today.
That's amazing.
They charge about $20. Yeah. But it's much more than just, electric cars and SUVs and trucks, and they had everything from, Kias to Volvos to BMWs and even the Lucid Air. You could take a test drive in a Lucid Air. But they also had, it was, kind of the whole e-mobility spectrum. So you had electric bikes, electric motorcycles. Livewire was there with some of their Livewire motorcycles, their division of Harley Davidson, and e-bikes, scooters. And I got my first opportunity to ride a few different e-bikes yesterday, which was a lot of fun.
Did you just ride them around the show floor, or did they let you out?
No, this is all outside. The event in Austin was at the Circuit of the Americas, the Formula One track.
Yeah.
And so for the scooters and bikes, they had a course set up at the karting track, so you could ride around there. And then for the vehicles, the larger vehicles, you actually got to go for a test drive out on the road. So it was a lot of fun. It's definitely worth it if you're interested in checking out some different EVs or different electric mobility options. It's an opportunity to ask questions and learn and compare different vehicles from different brands. So kind of like I said, kind of a combination of a car show and a test drive event all rolled into one.
Fun.
But that's not the main thing I wanted to talk about today. Earlier this week on This Week in Google on the podcast network, you guys were talking about software-defined vehicles and an announcement that came out between Renault and Google.
Yes, you need to explain what that is to me.
Yeah, so when I started my engineering career in 1990, we were doing kind of the way they refer to it now is software-enabled vehicles. And this, having software in vehicles is not new. This has been going on since the 1970s when they started putting electronic controls in for powertrains and an ABS and things. But that was all very low level embedded software. I mean, we were writing in assembly language, and tiny little low power microcontrollers. And once you put it in the vehicle, it was there for the life of the vehicle. It never changed.
No upgrades, no over the air upgrades or anything like that. Was Tesla the first company to do over the air upgrades for vehicles?
They were the first to do it for safety critical systems. We've actually had OTA updates in vehicles for telematics systems since the mid 2000s. I think GM was the first to do it with OnStar. And others have done it, so they can update the telematics system, the connectivity system, but actually updating other systems in the vehicle is a little more complicated because of safety and security concerns. But what Tesla started doing was building hardware into vehicles, and you talked about software-defined radios for ham, where you have you build in a certain base level of hardware, and then you can turn features on and off with the software using OTA updates and flipping some switches. And so what we're seeing now is this migration, changing the electronic architecture of the vehicles so that everything can be updated. And in fact, everything's been updatable for decades now, going back to at least the late 1990s, because you could go into a lot of times for recalls you would have to go into a dealer and they could plug in a tool into the diagnostic port and reflash the software in there. But what we're seeing now is this is being done over the air. And that's where the security challenges come in and doing that. And last week I was driving a Lucid Air again for a couple of days, and Lucid loaned me the car because they wanted me to try out the new UX 2.0 software. They just did a major OTA software update on their vehicles to fix some problems and add some new features. And this is kind of, this is the thing that Tesla really pioneered, is adding new features to vehicles with software. So you have the hardware that's already in there, and then you're turning things on with new software and defining new functionality with the software. Hence the software defined vehicle component of this.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's just like it's still a vehicle. Yeah.
Right. And you still have to build in a minimum level of hardware in order to be able to do these things.
Right.
And this is where one of the challenges comes in. Manufacturers want to be able to sell these features on demand, have subscriptions to features. And that's where the problem comes in. They want to increase their revenue streams by having customers subscribe to features.
There you go.
But the problem is if you have to build in the hardware to begin with, which is going to limit how, it's not necessarily a great value proposition unless you can actually reduce the upfront price of the car and then pick and choose the features you want.
It's also, and because I've seen companies already, I think BMW does this, attempt this, and it really annoys customers. Like, I know I have heated seats, but I have to pay you $20 a month to use them. Come on, man. It really bugs people. I know that, but I have to say,
and again, like I said, it wouldn't be so bad if the BMW was cheaper to buy, or any other vehicle was cheaper to buy, and then you could enable that when you want it.
I really want it, and of course, the other problem is you can't make these vehicles so heavily dependent on their software that they're not safe if the software crashes, because software doesn't always work. And so there's another issue.
I haven't heard that. I thought software was perfect.
I have learned.
It's working great for Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, right. I've learned on my Mustang, there's actually a 3-finger salute, a reset combination to reset but it only resets the telematics. I can still be driving while I'm doing it, and I think that's really important. Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher, Guidehouse Insights. Listen to his Wheel Bearings podcast, wherever better podcasts are sold. And of course, right here, every Sunday. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Leo.
I'm going to let you have the control of this show if you would like, but only if you would like.
Absolutely.
And then
I've been really liking Mastodon.
Isn't it fun? Yeah, I know. I see you on our instance. Thank you for
I signed up on there, and also
joining.
Got myself set up on PixelFed, and so it's kind of like old school Instagram with no ads,
it's very old
algorithms.
School.
Yeah.
You may find at some point there's an automotive Mastodon server you'd rather be on, but
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be, because the local instance has a personality, and it's in your local feed. I sure love having you there, and you can even have both. I mean, there's no reason you can't have multiple accounts, just like you would on Twitter or anywhere else. But,
and that's what I'll probably end up doing.
I won't be hurt if you move to a car instance. I understand.
Well, I probably won't move entirely, but I'll probably follow people on another one, or add
that's what I do.
There.
I see. I can't leave my own instance, but
well, you could, but
that would be weird. Yeah. But I see, so there's an Emacs Mastodon server. There's open source ones. So I just go over there, and you can, if you actually go to the system and hit the Explore button, you can see many of the best accounts on there and just follow them, which is an easy thing to do. And then that way you get the benefit of it in your home.
Yeah, I'm experimenting with it right now. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put where I want to migrate the Wheel Bearings Twitter presence to.
There you go.
I'm debating between Mastodon and Discord. So we'll see what happens.
That's great having a Discord too. I love our Discord, as you know.
Yeah,
it's really great.
Yeah.
We do all the things, which is crazy. I had to, for 3 years I've been running this Mastodon for 15 euros a month. And then all of a sudden, I'm paying like $350 a month because so many, we had, I can't remember what it was. I think 15,000% growth.
Oof.
Yeah. We went from, almost 16,000% growth. In the new users, active users, 1,500% growth, interactions, 7,000% growth. So,
wow.
Yeah. So we had
That's pretty amazing.
It was stalling out. I had to buy more. I upgraded several times to handle.
Yeah. So I'm really liking it so far.
Good.
I'm enjoying it.
Good. Well, we love having you in there. That's great.
Yeah. All right. So let me answer a couple of questions.
I'll give you a minute while
here.
I run out into the other room. Okay.
Okay. So let's see. Web Shorts says he's had an Aventon adventure that he bought a year ago, and it's great, under $2,000. Yeah, there's e-bikes at a lot of different price points. I said, one that I rode. I rode a couple of different ones. A couple of different ones from Specialized, which were $4,000 and $6,000, and then there was one from Bulls. Which is, Bosch is not actually making the e-bikes. They're making the motors and control systems, things like that. So they had a bunch of different brands that were using their hardware. And the one I rode was a Bulls Copperhead Evo 2, which is about $5,600. Went about 20 miles an hour on that thing on this short little course, which was pretty impressive. Let's see. Better off buying a Bosch dishwasher. I don't know about that. I actually had a Bosch dishwasher for a number of years, and we had it kept frying the electronic boards in those things. I had to replace the electronic board a couple of different times in about 10 years with that thing. And finally learned that you actually have to run the hot water, get the water good and hot before you turn it on, because otherwise the inrush current would zap the board. So I will be back. I think Leo should be back here momentarily. I think the clock's counting down. And there we go. I'll be back at the top of the hour.
Thank you. Yes, sir. He's a soul man. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm a tech man. Da-da-da. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. We go to the phones finally. Thank you for your patience, Mark and David and Bob and David. Hi, David, from Sandpoint, Idaho. Good to talk to you. Thanks for holding on.
Yeah, I called you a while back about my underwater pictures of spawning trout.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how are the trout? Have they?
Well, I got lots of cool pictures, and I got not just trout, but like I got a picture of there's a American dipper. It's a bird that eats in the water and it eats the trout's eggs. And I got an underwater picture of one going down in the rocks and picking up an egg.
So you can see the beak going down. Oh, that's cool.
You can see the egg in its beak. And I got a picture of I took hours of watching, but I finally got a picture of one actually laying an egg. I could see it lay the egg.
Neat.
But
I guess.
But I finally, what?
It's a little graphic, but okay. So what can I do for you today, David?
Well, I finally set up something. I did an Instagram.
Oh, good.
So
what's your Insta? That's what the kids call it.
Spawning Trout Guy.
Spawning, all one word?
No, 3 words. Separate words. Spawning Trout Guy.
Okay, good. I will follow you so I can get my fill of spawning trout. Yeah, I think that's really cool. Everybody should have a hobby. And I think the more specific it is, the better.
Well, I looked around, and I didn't find anybody else that was specializing. I found a few videos.
Yeah, I doubt there are a whole lot of people spawning trout people. How do you shoot this? How do you? What kind of camera are you using to do this?
It's a GoPro.
Okay, so it's waterproof.
Yeah, and I have a pole called a Doca pole that I can extend out 24 feet.
Oh, cool. And how do the trout feel about it? Do they feel like this is an invasion of their privacy? Do they?
Well, they get you got to move slow, but sometimes you scare them, and then they usually come right back within a few minutes.
Cool. It's like fishing.
So it doesn't bother them too much.
Yeah. It's like fishing. You have to be patient, move slowly, talk in your quiet voice.
That you don't realize till you start doing it is Wi-Fi doesn't work underwater.
No. No.
But they have a cable that you can get, a 20-foot cable that hooks right onto the GoPro, and then it has a box on the other end that sends out a signal to your phone or tablet.
Oh, yeah, because you want to see what you're taking a picture of, and you need to do that.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm too high or I'm too low, and I have to just let it run. If I knew I was taking a picture, I could just wait and turn it back on. With the GoPros, you can just turn it on when you need to.
Right. This video of the Kokanee female cleaning red. Kokanee is beautiful, crystal clear, gorgeous, and they're beautiful fish.
Yeah, so kokanee are a landlocked salmon.
Yeah, they're quite beautiful. So sometimes you get a lot of scatter. Underwater photographers know this is a problem, especially if you use a light underwater, because it hits particles in the water. And I can remember working with an underwater photographer who spent days cleaning up the backscatter from the light in his underwater photography. But these kokanee, it's crystal clear. It's beautiful. I guess it's a very clear stream.
The creeks are real clear, and lots of times from your eyeball, you think it's real clear, and then you put your camera underwater. Oh, it's not as clear as
that's when you see the backscatter. Yeah. Well, I thank you. I did. I know I asked you to call me back, and I'm glad you did, David. It's easy to find if you just search for Spawning Trout Guy, but I will put a link in the show notes as well at techguylabs.com. If you have an aquarium, if you like to watch fish, you're actually a great photographer. The picture of these, I guess they're pelicans on the lake is also gorgeous, just gorgeous. So keep up the good work. It's nice to hear from you again. But I am going to move on because I got to get some calls in here. Bob on the line from Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Hello, Bob.
Hi, how are you, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
You here?
Good.
So, got a question. I have been using my Slingbox for probably 8 or 10 years. And last year
you got an email, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what is out there that's going to give me a comparable service.
Nothing that I know of. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'll take it back. Let me first explain what this was. And we actually, they were an advertiser back in the day because they had a great idea, which was you're already paying for cable TV at home, and you go on the road. Why should you have to pay again? Shouldn't you be able to watch your TV at your lake house or on the road or whatever? So you'd put this Slingbox in your house, connect it up to all your television stuff, and then you could watch your TV over the internet. You could even control it with a remote control and so forth. It was a great idea. But you know why it got superseded? Because of streaming.
Right.
Nowadays, pretty much every TV provider is already on the internet. Even your local channels, maybe. I notice that Peacock is starting to have some of the NBC locals as part of your subscription and so forth. And so I think probably their business shrank. Sling is, in fact, one of the companies that is now in the business of streaming TV. They have what a lot of people really like. Sling TV is their streaming service. But do you still want some hardware in your house that you can connect to remotely? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like it because I've got it on my iPad, and when I'm traveling, I can take it with me. And
so some of the cable companies are doing this. TiVo does this. Channel Master, I think, does this. These are not quite as. The nice thing about the Slingbox, you could put anything on it. So it was very flexible. But if, for instance, you have a TiVo, you can put it on the internet so you can log into it. If you have a Comcast subscription, their X1 box has an internet app that you can log into and see what's on your cable anyway. I don't know of any hardware that directly replicates what the Slingbox does. If anybody does, please give us a ring, because you're not the first person to call saying, hey, they're discontinuing the service, and it does take their server. You have to go through their server. So if they turn the server off, is it down now, or is it or they just say they're going down?
I haven't checked in the last day or two.
Yeah.
There is a date on there. I think it's mid-November.
Yeah, pretty soon.
Down.
Yeah.
And I know my local cable. I'm in the New York, New Jersey area, and Optimum Online. You can watch it on an app, but the problem is it's only local on Wi-Fi. You can't access it.
Oh, they won't let you see it on the public internet. Oh.
No.
So here's
remotely in the house, it's fine, but not once you leave the premises.
Scooter X in our chat room found something. He says, yes, Slingbox end of life November 9th, so it's over. And so this is a company called Whitbe, WITBE.net. They sell the Whitbox. Now, I don't know how big it is because I notice on the website it says Whitbox is already a beloved Slingbox alternative for dozens of our customers. Dozens? You've sold dozens of them?
If this is the product that I think you're talking about, if you look at the price of the hardware, it's ridiculous.
Oh, that's too bad.
A lot of money.
Oh, it's cute looking. It's small. Yeah. You know, it could very well be that in order to justify them doing it, they've got to charge a lot because this is a tiny market these days. I'm sure that's why Sling got out of it. We'll keep looking. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I like YouTube TV. I've been very happy with that. All it would give you is your channels. It's also expensive though. It's $65 a month, but you get all the live locals and you get some of the other quite a few channels for that. It's kind of like a basic cable subscription, and it would basically replace Optimum Online. In fact, that's my plan, is to replace Comcast with that. We're paying for both, so that's something else to look at is YouTube TV. I've been very happy with that. Sam, I'm going to bring you back in here.
Alrighty.
And let you help me help them or something.
Okay.
All yours.
So in the chat, Aaron Kalap asked about the car that's behind me. That's the Lucid Air. It's the one I was driving last weekend. And that's the dashboard in there. I think later this week, in fact, Lucid is going to be announcing availability of new trim levels of the Air. So right now, the only ones you can get are the Grand Touring model. The one I was driving was $154,000. There will be a couple of more affordable trim levels, starting with the Pure Edition, which starts at about $87,000 with about a 400-mile range. Let's see. Big Island was talking in the chat about chargers and condo complexes, and this is one of the big challenges with EVs. So far, EVs have been a very small slice of the overall vehicle market, and most of the people buying EVs, upwards of 80%, most of the people buying EVs so far have been a little more affluent. Over 80% live in single family homes, dedicated off-street parking. Actually, I think that 80% is probably very low. It's probably closer to upwards of 90% live in single family homes with off-street parking. And that's a great solution, because then when you come home at night, you can plug it in, charge, be fully charged, ready to go the next morning. The problem is, as we start to expand the population of EVs and EVs move into the used car market eventually, because used cars represent about somewhere between 3 and 4%, or 3 and 4 times the number of annual sales as new cars. So in pre-supply chain crisis times, we were selling about 17 million cars a year in the U.S. And about 60 to 65 million used cars every year. Most people don't actually buy new cars. Most people only buy used cars because they're more affordable. And along with that goes a lot more of the population of used car owners also live in places that are either rental properties or they live somewhere, condos or multi-unit dwellings, apartments, where they don't have their own dedicated off-street parking. Or even in a lot of cities, you go into a lot of cities where even in a single-family home, you often have to park on the street, park curbside. And so of the total population of the U.S., somewhere around 45% of the population does not have dedicated off-street parking. And so this is one of the reasons why there's such a big emphasis in the infrastructure bill on building out public charging infrastructure. And this is one of the things I talked about during the interview I did with the head of GM Energy at Electrify Expo, is, the EV ecosystem, building out charging so it's accessible for more people. Because if you've got a car that has, 200, 250, 300 miles of range, you don't have to charge it every day. You can get by charging it, for most people, charging it a couple of times a week. And so one of the things that companies like GM, for example, are doing, they have a partnership with EVgo to deploy almost 3,000 DC fast chargers at places like grocery stores, where you typically go once or twice a week anyway, and you're going to be there for 20 or 30 minutes. And so if you own an EV, you can go plug it in, charge there. By the time you're done getting your groceries, your car's all charged up and you're ready to go again. And there's other locations like that, or also putting in curbside chargers, putting in Europe, and a number of places in Europe now, they have chargers that are being built into utility poles, because utility poles already have power. So they're putting in level 2 chargers built into the utility poles, or doing other types of curbside solutions, which will be a big help. And, for those that live someplace where it's not possible to get a dedicated charger for your use, these various public charging solutions are going to be a key component of enabling more people to drive EVs in the coming years. Web 9999 asked about Ford's sidewalk scooters that they had announced a few years back. Back in, I want to say 2018, Ford bought a company called Spin, that was one of these scooter rental companies like Bird and Lime and a whole bunch of others. And Ford operated it for several years. But the problem, like all of the other micromobility companies, is they couldn't find a pathway to profitability. Along the way, Ford did develop a more robust scooter. They have different designs for scooters, because the early micromobility scooters, e-scooters, were all basically off the shelf consumer products. They weren't very tough. They had in shared use like that, they tended to have a very short lifespan, often as little as 2 to 3 months before they had to be scrapped and thrown away and replaced, which is one of the reasons for the high cost and losses for these companies. So Ford and others were developing purpose-built scooters that were a lot tougher. They would be a lot more durable, have better battery life, be easier to charge. And they did deploy those in some cities. But the problem is that they still couldn't find a pathway to profitability for these shared scooter systems. And so Ford last year, maybe it was earlier this year, gave up and sold off Spin to another company. And along the way, they had also reduced service, withdrawn their service from a number of cities. They withdrew from the European market. And they've since sold it to somebody else. And gotten out of that business entirely. But I think, you will see, these more purpose-built scooters proliferating in more areas in the coming years. Twisted Mister had a comment about it being easy to build a hacker-proof system, which I assume was in reference to my discussion of software-defined vehicles. Yeah, it's easy to build software that can't be hacked. No, actually not. The more complex a system you have, it's impossible to guarantee absolute security. The best you can do is try to build the system to be as resilient as possible. And this is what the auto industry went they learned the hard way. Several manufacturers, including GM and Jeep, learned that it is possible for hackers to remotely get into your systems, your telematics systems, and do bad things with cars. And so several years ago, back in 2015, they formed an Information Security and Awareness Center. It's called an ISAC, called the Auto ISAC. There are ISACs in a number of different industry verticals, and financial services and healthcare, and aerospace, where companies in that sector collaborate, share information about security challenges they're having, and share best practices and other things. So the Auto ISAC has been helping the industry to develop best practices, and automakers have been working aggressively to redesign their software systems, their development processes, their deployment processes, to try to minimize the risk of hackers getting in and doing bad things to people's vehicles. And so far, we haven't seen any new incidents in the last few years, that at least nothing that's been made publicly aware of. There have been some challenges with locking systems, for example. Hyundai and Kia recently, BMW had some problems. And this is one of the reasons why automakers are shifting away from Bluetooth towards ultra wideband, which is a much more secure process for communicating with vehicles. But yeah, you'll never get a completely hacker-proof vehicle.
Mr. Abuelsamid, thank you so much. Thanks to you, I have a lovely cup of coffee.
All right, well, enjoy your coffee. Enjoy the rest of the callers. And I'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Thanks, Sam.
All right.
Why, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, the cloud. You know, I never say the cloud. Does anybody even know what the cloud is? We talk about the cloud, connected cars. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can still call from anywhere in the world, but you have to use Skype out or something like that to reach us. It should be toll free. 8888 Ask Leo. The website is techguylabs.com. Free, no sign up, just wander in. That's where we put links to things I talk about. We put a transcript of the show up there, and audio and video from the show as well. Because it's a podcast too, you know. And this is episode 1944. Actually, you know, a little trip down memory lane. This was my first podcast back in 2004. 18 years ago, almost exactly 18 years ago. Podcasting started in the fall of 2004. Former MTV VJ Adam Curry told a guy named Dave Weiner, who was responsible for a technology called RSS. He said, you know, it'd be cool, Dave. Be cool if we could attach an audio file to an RSS feed, a binary, he said binary file, but it could be audio, it could be a picture, it could be video. Dave wrote it up, and Adam put out the first podcast, real, RSS podcast. I heard about it a week or two later. And I'd been doing the Tech Guy show, but I just had been putting episodes of the show, recordings of the show up on the website. So it's not that different, right? You go to a website, you download it. But I thought, well, I could do the podcast. I was doing it by hand, writing it and typing it in, making an RSS feed of those. And that was the first podcast I did in October 2004. Been a long, long time. So this, when I say episode 1944, all of them, I think even down to episode 1, you can get on the website, techguylabs.com. You have to go back a few pages, but they're all there. 1,944 episodes. Wow. 8888 Ask Leo. Again, the phone number. I'll go back to the phones. I owe you. Mark Whitby, Ontario, Canada. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good. Long time no speak. I've called in a couple times, and I was there in the studio with you. I think it was in 2019. I remember I was the guy who was wearing the Chernobyl T-shirt, and then you pointed out that it was spelled wrong.
Yes. I do.
I never realized that before, but I've been to the nuclear plant. But
it's unfair of me to say it's spelled wrong because, of course, it's really Cyrillic. So it's however the Cyrillic is translated into the Roman alphabet, and there are many ways, to say Moscow. You could spell it Moskva, and that wouldn't be incorrect. So I'm sure Chernobyl, there are a variety of spellings. You got it in Chernobyl, right?
Yes, that's right. I did a tour of the nuclear, well, not the actual nuclear plant itself, but Pripyat and the whole town and so on. It was very cool.
That's amazing.
I'm assuming they're not doing that right now, unfortunately. But,
because it's been occupied by Russian forces. People forget Chernobyl was in Ukraine.
Yes. Exactly.
So it's now, being contested during this horrific war that Putin has created. So did you have to have special permission to go in there?
Yeah, you have to. Well, technically, yes, but no. So you basically sign up for a tour, and then they do the paperwork to be able to. You're considered a scientist going in to the zone.
Do you have to carry a little radioactive detector?
You can rent them if you want.
You should have a badge. Did they give you a badge, an exposure badge?
No, but they would keep track, and they told us how much radiation we were exposed to in that 8 hours. So we absorbed as much radiation as you normally would in a 24-hour period in that 8 hours that we were there, or whatever it was.
Oh, well, that's not horrible.
No, and you get more radiation flying in a plane than you do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Most people don't realize that.
What a fascinating, historic thing to do. And then, did you watch the mini series on Chernobyl after that?
Yes, of course. And it was right before. It was 2016 when I was there. It was right before they put the new dome over top, so we got to see what it looked like before the dome went on.
Wow. So it's a fantastic miniseries. Cool. I really enjoyed it and learned a lot about what really happened from that.
Mm-hmm.
So what can I do for you now, Mark?
Okay, I got two questions. Okay, I'm looking to, first of all, I want to record or save. There's one iMessage conversation. So I have an iPhone. I have a PC, so I'm not a Mac guy. I want to be able to either export it to a PDF so I can save the whole conversation from the last couple of years. How do I do that? Is there an easy way or free way?
You've been recording these conversations all this time?
Well, it's just that chat message that's been going on.
Not voice, not phone calls.
No.
Yeah, chats. So you can copy your iPhone. It's of course easiest with a Mac. There are some really great utilities for backing up to a Mac, but on a PC, on a Windows PC, there are a number of tools. Ease US makes one, I remember. It might even be free. The one I use on the Mac is called iMazing. Let me just really quickly check and see if they make a Windows version of iMazing. They do. So this is the one I'd recommend. It's not cheap.
So
it's IMAZING, like amazing with an I at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic tool. Micah recommended it. And I thought, well, I don't need to pay for this, but it's ended up being a really great way to back up, to transfer music, to transfer photos. Yes, transfer all your messaging as well. They have a free download so you can try before you buy. Probably should, since I haven't.
That might just do what I need.
Yeah, it might be enough. And then it's $45 a year, which is, I think, silly.
Yeah.
No, I guess not a year. $45 for 3 phones, or if you want to do unlimited phones, $45. But I get that much. I don't know who would want unlimited phones. So, yeah, $50 a year, $50 period, all in. I bought it. It's worth it. It's just the kind of nice tool to have if you use iPhone.
Yeah. So related to this, also, so I've maxed out my iCloud 5 gigs, whatever they give you for free.
Yeah. Of course you have.
And
now you get bombarded with messages from Apple. You need to upgrade. You want to upgrade. You want some more.
So it goes, this thread, and I don't believe I deleted it ever. So it goes to January of this year, and then it seems to that's it. So would that be because iCloud, it's on iCloud, and if I pay, then I'd be able to get more?
Yeah, you might even, if you paid, you might even be there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure.
Because it's only $1 or $2 or whatever.
Yeah, for 99 cents, you get 200 gigabytes. which is probably enough for anybody. I do the Apple One subscription, so I get a terabyte, but plus Apple TV, all the bunch of stuff. But I'm a sucker.
Leo's a tech guy.
I'm a sucker for Apple. I fall for all that stuff.
Okay, so I'll try doing that because I just want to basically save this message to a PDF, get it off my phone, and move on with my life, basically.
Well, if that's all, that might be then 99 cents instead of $50 might be all you need. Yeah, I use iCloud backup for everything, my Mac, my phone, and I really like the syncing messages because I have, I want to be able to get message on my phone and on my Mac and so forth, and so it's nice to be able to do that. Joe in the chat room says there's a space saving setting that limits history to 1 year. And if you have that turned on, that might be another reason why it just stops.
It does say never, keep my messages forever.
Okay. Yeah, I do that too. Yeah, I do that too. And just remember, I think everybody knows this, but if it's on iCloud, it's public. It's not public, but it's Apple. It's not locked. It's not encrypted. It's encrypted on your phone. It's encrypted in transmission. But as soon as it gets on iCloud, if Apple gets a subpoena, they can hand it over. Just, that's all. Everybody knows that, I hope. It's not private.
But if I delete it, then it's still in iCloud.
Yeah, probably for a while. Yeah. Just good to know about.
It's nothing illegal, but I just want to have the trail.
Yeah, no, I'm not assuming that.
Okay,
I'm not assuming that. Hey, a pleasure talking to you. It's great to see you, Mark. Come visit us again.
I will, for sure.
Actually, I'll make you a deal. I'll come up your way. I really miss going to Toronto every month.
Yeah. You do that. Well, definitely, I'll take you out for some food or something.
Deal. All right. Great to talk to you. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number. Yes, Retcon5 is asking in the chat room, is Ventura ready for prime time? Absolutely. Haven't had a problem. No problems at all with Ventura. All my Macs are on it. The latest Mac OS. More calls coming up right after this. Oh, it's Chris Marquardt. Well, hello, Chris.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I like your letters sweater, your jacket. Did you get that in high school? The wolf.
No,
what is that? The wolf pack.
A friend's son who is fighting cancer. And well, it's Hodgkin's lymphoma. I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's what Paul Allen had, and he had complete remission. He quit Microsoft thinking he was on the way out and lived another 30 years. So, am I seeing you on the Mastodon? I feel like I'm seeing you on the Mastodon. Am I? I can't remember.
Yes, you
are. That's what I thought I am.
We follow each other.
Yes. Good. Do you go back and visit the Twitter at all?
I'm on both.
I don't post on Twitter. I look every once in a while, like a car wreck, just to see. And then
well, I haven't set up a cross post or anything, but then some things I think work better on Twitter, some things are good for Mastodon.
Yeah, they're very different. Culture. Yeah, they're very different. Yeah.
It's culturally very different.
Yeah.
So
and I really like the kind of warm, friendly, cozy nature of Mastodon.
Pretty laid back most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of depends on what server you're on, what instance you're on.
Very much. I'm aggressive.
Some instances that are rough for sure.
Yeah, I'm aggressive about banning and defederating. I really encourage all my.
You run your own.
Right? Yeah. We have a twit.social, and I really it's when I don't have a lot of rules, I just say keep it family friendly, and if it's not, you're gone. You're gone, man.
Do you have any automatic moderation? Is there any automatic moderation there?
Might be. I don't have it. I spend a lot of time, especially lately. I spent a lot of time on it lately because I want to make sure with this massive growth, we had just the growth is through the roof. For 3 years, I've been running this thing with fewer than 400 users. I get 400 new users a day now. So it's, I don't know if it's exponential, but it's definitely geometric. In fact, let me see if I've got new members to approve. I have to check about 3 times a day now to see, because you have to get approved. I don't just let people in.
You've turned back into an admin. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm an admin. Oh,
by the way, you have an email?
Yes.
And a topic.
Good.
And I will do the driving and I will do the showing.
Excellent. All right. Yes. We'll talk in a bit. Thank you, sir.
Will do.
Well, I guess I know we're in stereo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, 888-827-5536. No, you're probably not hearing it in stereo, but I am. So you send me, Laura, you send me stereo music?
Yeah, if I want to, yes.
But we don't send it out in stereo, right? That's
a good question. I don't know.
It's AM radio. You got one little speaker in the middle of your car dashboard there. That's it. Right? Or am I wrong?
Maybe we do.
Maybe we do. There was a big thing about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, called AM stereo. And the FCC dragged their feet, as what a surprise, right? And decided not to declare a particular technology the standards. So no one did it because there were competing standards. I don't know if there's I don't know. You'd think I'd know. Here I am in radio and I don't know.
You'd think I know too, but I don't.
And I really think you'd know. This is Wikipedia. AM stereo is a term given to a series of mutually incompatible techniques for radio broadcasting. Great. Mid to late 80s. That's when we were so worried about FM, right? Taking over. We don't worry about that anymore, do we? No, we do not. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go to Toronto. Yay. We were just talking about Toronto. And David is on the line. Hi, David.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Good.
Talk about AM stereo. I got a YouTube question, but talk about AM stereo.
Yeah.
The streaming services here don't broadcast in stereo on a streaming service.
Yeah.
The union stations do broadcast in stereo.
Well, that's the beauty. That's the beauty now, and why it's kind of moot. So many people listen to the radio on the internet, and you can have stereo on the internet, right? No big deal. You don't have to change. You don't have to rejigger the transmitter or anything. You just do it.
Yeah.
So I suspect that's mono seems to be a kind of antiquated notion, doesn't it? Anyway.
Yeah. YouTube. Yeah, I do. I was transferring some home movies.
Yes.
Normally your home movies.
Yes.
And I'm having troubles with background music.
Oh, yeah. The
only thing is, though, I'm getting off YouTube, which I've done that for years.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. So YouTube, YouTube from day one has gotten in trouble with what is euphemistically called rights holders. The people who own the copyright to stuff. So in the early days, before Google bought it, one of the things people did on YouTube is they put up Saturday Night Live sketches, and NBC went ballistic, went crazy, tried to sue YouTube out of existence. In fact, it's one of the reasons I think YouTube was available for Google to buy for some $3.2 billion because the creators of YouTube, and I remember talking to them at the time, just said, we're going to get sued out of existence. Once Google owned YouTube, Google's big enough, they could go to the rights holders and say, look, we want to make a deal. You'll notice, by the way, you can watch Saturday Night Live skits now on YouTube before the show even airs. I wanted to go to bed last night before 11:30. I knew Dave Chappelle was on. I wanted to see his monologue, and there it was on YouTube around 9 because it had already aired on the East Coast. Officially through NBC. So the rights holders can put music up there. In fact, music labels put their own songs, their videos up there and so forth. But in order to appease copyright holders, YouTube created an automated system called Content ID. And it bites us YouTubers all the time. If you put a home video up and in the background, the radio is playing Len, Steal My Sunshine.
I know.
The record company doesn't even have to do anything. Content ID will hear it, flag it. The rights owners have 3 options they can exercise when they're notified that such a thing has happened. They can, actually 4. They can ignore it, never do. They can monetize it. They could put ads on your stream and say, we want the money. Not Doug doesn't get the money. David doesn't get the money. We get the money.
I don't make any money on these anyway.
No, of course not. But they could put ads on it. They can demonetize you if you had ads on it. They could put their own ads on it. They can take you down. They can even give you a strike. If you get you can only get 3 copyright strikes, or YouTube will take your account off. They'll kill you.
Yeah, I know.
It's terrible. So, and the problem with Content ID is it's an automated system, so it's often irrational. We frequently, I do a bunch of stuff on YouTube. This show's on YouTube. We take the music out of this show before we put it on YouTube because it'll get taken down immediately.
Well, live is though. If music's on live though. I'm watching it on YouTube now.
Yeah, I don't know how do we get away with that? I don't know. Shh, don't say anything. Apple has taken down our live stream. Usually it's not the live stuff. Live stuff, I think, is a little bit. Maybe Content ID isn't good enough to work on live. It's usually on the stuff where people can watch it later. For instance,
Right.
we were watching a launch. NASA puts these launch videos out, public domain. U.S. no copy. The U.S. gives it away because it's taxpayers' dollar funding these launches. So we were watching a launch on one of the shows. In between during the commercials, YouTube took it down. Apparently, National Geographic had copyrighted the launch, so they took it down. So it's a terrible system. And as somebody who tries to make some money on YouTube, we don't make very much, but a little bit. It hurts us. We have to, what it's in effect done is it's made us be very, very cautious. You can, there's no rule that you can use 3 seconds or anything. You can't use any of it.
I realize. Yeah.
There is copyright-free music you can use, but you say what you're doing is you're taping your kids running around and there's music in the background.
Well, no, actually, mine are home videos, so 8mm home movies.
Yeah. Then there's well, now if you put music on, the same thing. Okay. So some songs are public domain, very few, but you can find royalty-free music if you search for royalty-free or Creative Commons is another label. Music, a lot of podcasts. We use, for instance, and all radio stations do this, we have music that we buy. It's fake music. It's not real music. It's not the Beatles, but it's fake music they put behind commercials, they put in the breaks and stuff like that. So there's stuff like that you can get. But basically YouTube says, no, can't do it. And it's extremely frustrating because it's often wrong. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You got me upset now. They are, and they may have soon a way of putting copyright music in. Because one of the things that's happened is TikTok's eating their lunch, right? And one of the things TikTok did that was so smart is, hey, you could put real music in there. We'll license it. And that's been huge for TikTok. So I think YouTube is probably working on getting a library of music that you could use. Let me see if they've done that yet. Have they done that yet? They do have. Okay, so YouTube does have a royalty-free music library. It's probably not great.
No, I tried that, and it got banned that too.
It got banned too?
Yeah, they can't use it. They can't use it. It's always the BM. I think it's BMG music or something. It's always been that same place.
Yeah. Those are the rights holders.
How do other people do it though? I've seen videos in there for years and years and years.
Oh yeah, because Content ID goes back and looks at old stuff. Sure. Oh, we get that. I get shows taken down from 5 years ago all the time.
Yeah,
it's incredibly frustrating. So YouTube has announced, Joe's telling me, that they will have a library of music you can use launching next year. So and that's because Facebook does it, TikTok does it, YouTube's got to do it. So that's going to come, and until then, I don't know what to do. You can't. It bites us all the time.
I know.
Drives me nuts. So, John, do we or Benito? We don't stream the bumper music over the YouTube live, do we? We do. Actually. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Shh! Don't tell anyone. We take it out of the podcast because that would absolutely get it taken down.
Well, the last one you had on there was your old call for help startup thing.
Yeah, that's okay. I think we can use that.
Yeah, that's yours. Yeah, it's probably yours.
Well, it's not mine. It's NBC Universal Comcast's, but maybe they don't have content ID on that. Yeah, I play that every once in a while. Now, I wish it were mine. So I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what the answer is. This is, unfortunately, the way copyright works in the U.S., these guys have all the rights and you have none. It's probably true in Canada, too. I'm sure it is.
That's weird.
Yeah. Keep watching. YouTube will announce some music that you can use, and it'll be popular songs because it's done so well on TikTok. You'll hear popular music on TikTok all the time, and it's great for the artists. By the way, remember the guy who was drinking cranberry juice while he skated down the road in L.A. Got millions of views, and it put Fleetwood Mac "Dreams" on the top of the charts again.
Oh yeah,
30 years later, Fleetwood Mac was thrilled.
Yeah, I know.
They shouldn't be such jerks about it. They're jerky jerks. I don't like them.
I know. I don't understand, though. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, David, but it's the way it is. I'm sorry.
Okay, I know. Thanks anyway.
All right, take care. I hate it. Do you want Chris to talk about the Wolf Pack?
No. It's fine for me just to wear it.
I won't mention
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
And you don't need me to do anything. I just have the email as backup.
I am set with pictures and stuff. Yeah. All is good.
I have it right here. The subject.
We're going back to the early beginnings.
Let's start over. Hey, our show today brought to you by a new podcast that is so good. You're going to love it. If you like coding, you will love Code Comments, an original podcast from Red Hat. Well, now you know it's good, right? You know how it is when you're working on a project, and you maybe in the comments you just put a little reminder what the heck this is all about. Sometimes they're silly. Sometimes it's I don't know why this works, but don't take it out. I've seen that comment. That's a code comment to help others learn from your work, or just to tell yourself what you were doing when you come back to the code 6 months later. Code Comments podcast takes that idea by letting you listen in to two experienced coders as they describe their process. Isn't that fun? This is great to get inside the mind of people who really know what they're doing. You can learn a lot. It takes a lot of work to take an idea from whiteboard to development to delivery. No one does it alone. The host of Code Comment, lifelong developer advocate. He's a Red Hatter, community organizer, Burr Sutter. You might know his name. If you've worked with Red Hat before, you probably do. Every episode, Burr sits down with experienced technologists from across the industry to trade tales, talk about what they've learned from their experiences. There are subjects, all kinds of subjects. In fact, there's, I do a lot of hobbyist coding, so I'm always fascinated by this. But then there's stuff I look at and I go, that is way beyond my pay grade, like deep learning, right? There was a whole episode covering deep learning. That's fun because now I'm going, okay, well, how do they go about this? And you really learn. You can get episodes of Code Comments anywhere you get your podcasts, or go to redhat.com/Code Comments Podcast, and there's links there. Code Comments. Just search your podcast player for Code Comments. Actually, if you search for Red Hat, you'll see a whole bunch of great podcasts they do. They've really been doing some great stuff. I like this new one, though, Code Comments. Look for it in your podcast player, or go to the show notes for today, techguylabs.com, and we'll put a link there. Thank you to Code Comments for your support, and thank you for supporting us by going to redhat.com/Code Comments Podcast. I think you're going to like it. Now back to the show. It's time to talk photography with my personal photo sensei, Mr. Chris Marquardt. He is at sensei.photo, publishes books about photography, does workshops about photography, takes some pretty darn good pictures himself. Hello, Chris.
Thank you very much for that nice introduction. How's it going today?
We love Chris. He also hosts the longest running photography podcast. I was talking at the beginning of the hour about my first podcast, which was October 2004, and it was this show.
You beat me by 6 months.
So you were in 2005 is when you launched the Tips.
April 2005.
Tips from the Top Floor, tfttf.com. And still going strong, right?
Yeah.
How many episodes?
Still, I had almost 1,000.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that.
See, I have more than you because I do 2 a week of this show. So this is episode 1944.
No, when I started, I did 3 a week, but only for like a half a year, and then that wore me out a bit. Yeah.
I was hoping we'd get to my birthday. My birth year is 1956, but we won't. The last show this year will be 1955. Yeah. Dag nabbit. So what are we talking about today in photography?
I want to go back to some of the earlier things that we talked about years and years and years ago, but it's a very, very important concept in photography, and that is the subject. Ooh. What is your picture about, and how can you help your picture to be about something? Because when you look at a picture, some of those pictures will jump at you. You'll go, wow, I know exactly what it's about, and some of the pictures you'll go like, meh, what's going on? I don't know. So the subject is a very important subject about photography, and it helps to have a subject in your photo. It helps to have one subject in there, and that should be very clear. That gives the photo kind of a clear message. So let's look at what makes good subjects. And of course, let me bring up a few photos here that I found on Flickr.
I know what the subject is: a sailboat.
There you go. And why is it? Why is it a subject?
This is the only thing there.
Exactly. The rest is just saying a bit of sky, a bit of water. So yeah, okay, that makes it very clear.
Yeah.
If there's one of it, then it's the subject. Very simple. But if there's multiple of it, like on this field with the tree, with a row of trees, nicely contrasted against the yellow field. That's not just one of it, but it's a group of things. So you could say it's one group of things. And that is, again, very clear what that subject is about. If it's not as clear, then you can use other tricks like focus, for example. If you, like here's a row of droplets on a twig, and one of them is in focus. That is the subject. The focus has a double meaning, right? You want to focus on that because it's in focus. So
that's beautiful.
As a photographer, you manage other people's attention, and this is how you get their attention to go exactly where you want it to go.
You could have changed the focus on this shot to any one of those drops, right?
And that would become the subject. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
So a very, very simple thing. If you have a camera that can do that, hey, use that tool. It's a very important and good tool. I think with portrait mode on your smartphone, you can do something very similar. So focus helps. Here's an insect, a fly on a leaf. There's lots of beautiful color in the photo, but then there's one thing in focus, and that's the fly. And that becomes the subject. Another thing to make a subject is, or to help a subject be a subject, is to frame it. Right? You can put things around it that hold it in place, that give it something to lean against left and right. In this case, it's a person standing in front of a river or in front of a lake, and the trees on the left and the right and the top and the path on the bottom give it a good place to be in a picture. A frame doesn't really have to be all around something. Here's a bird that's framed in some leaves. Again, nice place to sit in the photo. I'm a fan of this kind of a framing. This one is, wow, wonderful picture. These eyes are looking through, well, they're looking through a frame that's made from a veil.
This looks like a classic new National Geographic cover. It's not the same,
yes.
But it's very, very similar. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Very inspired, but it's very clear what the subject is. You want to look at those eyes because, well, first of all, they're eyes. We want to look at other humans. That's because we see ourselves in other humans. But then, of course, they are just nicely framed, and that gives it the best place to sit. A frame doesn't really have to be, again, around something. It could be some shape in a room. In this case, we're looking straight down onto some lower floor, and the person is walking, and the person is framed in the railing of another floor. By the way, that's also one of the reasons that black and white photos work so well, because we have no distractions there. The frame, the shapes can become their own thing pretty much. The frame doesn't really have to be around something. In this case, what we're looking at is an out of focus couple on a bridge, and behind that bridge, the structure frames them. So it can be something in the background.
That's interesting, yeah, because the previous rule where we said, well, the thing in focus is the subject. In this picture, it would be a board on the bridge,
which it doesn't work. But then on the other hand, a human.
That's true.
Figure in a picture is so much stronger than a board on a floor, right?
Yeah, that's a good
point. So the humans are the winner, the clear winner here. Lines. Use lines to your advantage, perspective lines or a curve like the pathway we see here, and let them lead to something, and that something will be the subject. Very simple thing. If you find a curving towards something, could be a straight line, could be a curve. I like curves. The S curve is always a very nice thing to look at. And then here's your guaranteed subject maker. It's the odd one out principle. If you have a lot of the same and then one thing that is slightly different, that's an instant subject. That'll just pop into your. There's no doubt what the subject is on this one. And last but not least, we have one more, and that is what we call color key, which is when you have a black and white photo and just a part of it in color, like a red rose or the eyes of a cat in this instance. And again, it's the one thing that sticks out. So that's why color key pictures work so well, because they are the odd one out type of picture.
There are camera phone apps that do that, let you draw all the black and white everything except for, in this case, the green eyes of the cat. That's such a cool thing. We've talked about this before, and I really take it to heart. If I look at a picture and I don't know what the subject is, I usually say, well, that's not a great shot. Sometimes landscapes might be just a pretty
some
landscape.
Abstracts might work well. Yeah. They might evoke something. But in general, a subject and a clear subject makes a better picture.
Yeah. All those pictures are in a gallery that Chris has set up on Flickr, and I'll put a link in the show notes to that flickr.com gallery so you can see the images he was talking about. Flickr is where we also put your photo assignment. Every month, Chris comes up with a photo assignment, some word, adjective, of which you are required to take a picture. In this case, it is
blue.
Blue. For a minute, I thought it said blaze, but no, it's blue.
I can hold it upside down. How about that?
Blue. So this is fun. This is could be a color, but it might be a mood. It could be anything you want it to be. But the way this works, take a picture, take a lot of pictures. Doesn't matter if you have a fancy camera. Smartphone's just fine. In fact, these days it's probably better than a lot of fancy cameras. Get that image. Simple. If you find one that says, oh, yeah, this is great, it hits you right here. Upload it to Flickr and submit it to the Tech Guy group. Make sure you tag it TG Blue so Chris knows it's for the assignment, and in a couple of weeks, we'll take a look at all the pictures uploaded and pick a few to talk about. Mr. Marquardt is at sensei.photo. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
I love that subject. That's really a rule of thumb I use a lot, is if I don't know what that photo's about, I go, never mind, put that one away.
Simple.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, if it evokes emotion, and the subject being a clear subject helps evoke emotion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Chris. You're going to be here for the next few weeks? Are you traveling?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
No, I'll be here.
Stay here. Stay home. Stay warm. It's been freezing here. I bet it's pretty cold where you are too.
Not too bad. Nice and sunny right now.
Okay.
Astonishingly nice weather in November here.
Nice.
So
we'll enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. See you
later. Bye-bye. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, and a pleasant Sunday. But if you do see any Blue Monday, take some pictures and submit them to the Tech Guy group on flickr.com. TG for Tech Guy Blue for the subject. Let's go to line 2. Josh on the line from Cameron Park, California. Hi, Josh.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We are doing well. We've been longtime listeners and finally have a reason to call. I'm sitting with my 13-year-old son here named Abraham.
Hi, Abraham.
Hi.
Good to talk to you. What's up?
So Abraham is very interested in getting a VR headset, and we're not quite sure. He's about to turn 13 if he's old enough.
Oh, yeah.
Working on good screen hygiene.
Yeah. No, as you should. As you should. Do you have screen time limits for Abraham, or?
We're in the process of establishing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this. I was lucky because my kids now, Abby's 28. I mean, Abby's 30. Henry's 28. So they grew up, they had computers, but it wasn't like it is today. And what they didn't have was smartphones. And that's really a problem because now you have a computer in your pocket at all times.
Right.
Does Abraham have a smartphone yet?
No, he has his first iPad. And,
exciting. That's great.
Yeah.
I helped pay for it.
And he helped pay
You
for
did?
it.
How'd you do that? Did you mow lawns?
I mostly saved up checks from birthdays. Perfect.
Yep. Got to put that cash to good use. So VR is just another screen. I mean, it's not any different. It's not any more damaging, probably. The stuff on VR is actually pretty fun. We have a 19-year-old at home, my wife's son, my stepson, and he has played all the VRs because I got the first Oculus Rift when it first came out, and HTC Vive. Right now he has a Quest, the Quest 2. He doesn't play it all the time. It's not his preferred screen, actually. This is what happens with VR. When you first get it, it's like, wow, and the whole family, you'll play it, everybody will play it, the whole family. And people will say, come here, you got to see this. And they'll play it. And then the fun for most people kind of wears off. Most people, it's not the preferred way. I'm sure he'll use his iPad more in the long run. So I wouldn't spend, as I foolishly did, $1,600 for the Quest Pro. That's silly. That's just dumb. But the Quest 2 is very good. And it's $300 right now, I think, something like that. The whole family will use it. You probably want to have the same, if you have set screen time limits, it's a screen. It's no different than anything else. You can look at the games, same thing. In fact, one of the things you could do with the Quest, which is nice, is he can stream the stuff he's playing onto a TV, so you can see what he's doing.
Oh, fun.
And I would recommend that. There's a variety of ways to do it. Chromecast, you could do it to a computer screen using Wi-Fi. So that's a nice thing. So he's not all alone in there.
Right.
I don't think there's any educational value to it, but there is an unexpected value in terms of exercise. A lot of the most fun games, you actually get a lot of movement in. So there's a lightsaber game called Beat Saber where you have two lightsabers, and it's like Guitar Hero. The music's coming at you, and you have to chop at the boxes as they come at you. You end up breaking a pretty good sweat. But it's fun. That's actually our kid's favorite game. He and his buddies will play that a lot. There's also, and I think I would recommend this, they're cooperative games that I encourage them to play. They have a good time playing these games where one person's wearing the headset and the other people are on his team helping him, for instance, defuse a bomb.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's really, the whole family will do this. You get a printed manual, and you've got this kind of, he'll be wearing the headset, and he's got in his hands this kind of weird box, and you have to disconnect the blue wire and then find the triangle and press the thing, and it's so much fun. It's called something with explode in the name. Let me see if I can find this. Really fun game. Keep talking and nobody explodes. It's at keeptalkinggame.com. I think that would be really a fun family game. And I think that one of the things you'll find with the VR, because it is kind of isolating, somebody's like in their own world. Games like this are great because then everybody can be involved and you can put it up on the screen. Okay. In this case, you wouldn't want to because you don't want his team to see what he's seeing. So he's seeing it, you're not, and you have to tell him what to do from the bomb manual. It's really fun.
Oh, that sounds great.
Highly see, now I've done it. Do you have a PS4 or an Xbox or anything like that? Do you have any?
No, we have a Nintendo.
Nintendo, okay. Which is great. Yeah. So PlayStation has announced a new PlayStation VR that if you had a PlayStation 4 or 5, maybe that would be the way to go. But if you don't, I think the Quest is probably the best thing to do.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. And again, if you play Beat Saber, it's great exercise. There are a number of games that really get you moving, and they're more fun because of it. It's really great. The Switch does have Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, but I don't think it's as much fun on the Switch as it is in VR.
Okay.
KeepTalkingGame.com. Hey, have fun. It's nice to meet you, Abraham. Now, one thing I would suggest also, Dad, at some point, do you play Minecraft, Abraham, ever?
Yeah.
Get a Raspberry Pi. If you can get them, they're in short supply. But when you can get one, $35. You could put a Minecraft server on there, and you can learn to program Python by playing Minecraft, and it's so much fun. And Abraham, you're right at the age. If you like technology, you're right at the age where learning a programming language would be such a good idea. It may not be your thing, in which case no big deal. But if it is, that's a good skill to have in the 21st century, I think.
All right, that sounds cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Python is perfect for you. I'll put a link in the show notes to a wonderful book from the No Starch Press. Called Learning Python in Minecraft. And it's really fun. And that's a Raspberry Pi, which means it's an inexpensive, it's a $35 computer. Learn to Program with Minecraft is the name of the book by Craig Richardson. Pretty cool. Yeah. Hey, nice to talk to you both.
Leo, I'm sorry. Can I ask one really quick question?
Sure.
Keep it brief. So I currently have an iPad 11-inch pre-M chip, and I want to get a 12-inch for the real estate. I play music. I play
nice.
And I like the screen for sheet music. And I'm getting older, and the 11-inch is a little small for my eyeballs. But the question is, I don't really need it desperately, and I'm wondering, do you think next year's model is going to be a big enough jump that I should wait? Because I hold on to my iPads about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, as most people do now, and that's one of the things that slowed down iPad sales. I think Apple underestimated how these things would last forever. I love the iPad Pro. They just updated it with the M2 chip, the 12.9, so it has just been updated. I think you could get the M1. You wouldn't notice a difference. You might want to, in fact, looked at their refurb store to save a couple $100. But the 12.9 is for a musician is a great idea. Really good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just for sheet music. There's all sorts of stuff. There's composition tools. There's stuff that will take recorded music and write the score out on the iPad. There's all sorts of really great stuff. I think the iPad Pro, it's expensive, but it's a wonderful tool. I think you'll love it.
Oh, thank you for the recommendation. That's great. Thank you.
Sure, Josh. Great to talk to you both. Take care, Abraham. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Atari turns 50. Wow. How could that be? They were started in 1972? Yeah, because I didn't get an Atari thing. My first Atari thing was the 2600, and I think I got that in 77, maybe? 78? What did they do before they did the 2600? Oh, they did arcade games, of course. Of course, that's right. In fact, that's why I bought the 2600, is because I was tired of putting money into Atari arcade games. That's right. So for a while they were an arcade company. Pong. Played a lot of Pong in my time. Had a friend who worked at Atari. He was very proud. He worked on the Battle Zone, which was my favorite game. He said, "Yeah, I did the erupting volcano in Battle Zone." I said, "Oh." He said, "Yeah, I was walking by one day and I said, that mountain needs to erupt." And he wrote a little code to have the volcano, and they put it in. Battle Zone was a great game. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. I am your personal tech guy, your concierge, if you will, to all the tech apparati in your life. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can call from anywhere in the world, but if you're outside the U.S. and Canada, you should probably use Skype out so it doesn't cost you anything or something like that, some IP-based solution. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. You're welcome to join us in the chat room as well, irc.twit.tv. Many ways to play. I always think of the IRC folks, the chat folks, as Team Tech Guy. They're my brain kind of extruded to the internet because many of them have been listening for almost 20 years. Mike B., I was talking about the first Tech Guy show in January 2004. Mike B. said, I was there. So many of them have been listening, and they've heard me mention things in the past. And when I can't remember something, almost always they go, oh, yeah. Leo, you're trying to remember this. I said, yeah, that's it. So very helpful, the Team Tech Guy. Thank you. And the IRC. That's irc.twit.tv. You'll find all that if you go to techguylabs.com. Doug's on the line from the town made famous by Rocky and Bullwinkle, Chagrin Falls, Ohio. Hello there, Doug.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I am well. For some reason, I always think Rocky and Bullwinkle when I see Chagrin Falls.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why that is.
Tim Conway's from Chagrin.
Ah, you have the. You know what? You sound a little like Tim Conway. He must have the Ohio accent.
Yes, I don't know.
You do. You sound a little. Doesn't he sound like Tim Conway? Am I wrong? What can I?
Somebody told me that years and years ago.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. What can I do for you, Doug?
I have an answer, I think, for the person that called about the Slingbox a while
Yes.
back.
Oh, we're looking for that. Yes.
Dish bought Slingbox.
Right.
A number of years ago.
Right.
And you can get the same result if you have a Dish account, have a Dish on your house or in your yard, and it's the Dish Anywhere feature, which on the Hopper DVR. So you can essentially take whatever you're tuned to, or you don't even have to be tuned to it. You can use one of your tuners, and you can send it somewhere yourself, or send it to somebody else. Whatever, the same as the Slingbox did.
That's cool. Yeah, so they incorporated some of that Sling technology into their Hopper, which is their DVR.
Right.
Do they still make the Hopper?
Pardon me?
They still offer the Hopper? Dish does?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of question at times how much longer, because I think the Dish is becoming obsolete.
Yeah.
It's with streaming, etc. But I have some friends, as a matter of fact, that moved to Florida several years ago, and they use it. They have my ID and password, etc. They use it to watch the Browns every Sunday, because they don't have the Browns telecast down there the same way we do here. So
isn't that nice for them?
It's
all right. So if you now, of course, that means you'd have to be a Dish subscriber.
Exactly. So there's whatever the minimum package, if that's what you really want to do with if that's the main feature you want, you can get a package or something fairly inexpensive. You don't have to get one of their top packages that has all the channels if you're not interested in doing that.
Yeah. And, I think really the reason they stopped making this, in fact, eventually I imagine they'll stop offering a satellite service entirely, is because streaming is really the way to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
the internet's taking over the satellite. I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. DirecTV is doing the same thing.
Yep. I mean, there are certainly a lot of people in rural areas, and I'm guessing Chagrin Falls might be one of them, that don't have high enough speed internet to get streaming video.
Matter of fact, we're a suburb of Cleveland.
Oh, all right. Well, you're good then.
We're not. And as a matter of fact, I have a rural phone company, which is Windstream or Kinetic, which is don't have AT&T, et cetera, but they just put fiber on our street.
Nice.
I have a gig up and down.
Oh, here I am being all snooty, and you got better internet than I do.
Which is fantastic.
That's awesome. I think it's Frostbite Falls that doesn't have very good internet. That's where it is.
That's what you're thinking about.
Hey, thank you for that, Doug.
That helps the upstream for the dish anyway.
Oh, heck yeah.
When you're sending that out, you're basically a server.
Yeah, that's right. You're faster than most other servers.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool, isn't it? Hey, it's nice to talk to you. Thank you for helping out one of our listeners. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Thanks. Bye. Randy on the line from Huntington Beach, California. Hi, Randy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
A couple months ago, I bought myself a nice Lenovo laptop, i7 Evo, and I just bought a new monitor, a new LG monitor. It's a 32-inch ultra-fine UHD.
Those are very nice monitors, yeah.
They are beautiful, and I'm using it to run a program called Ableton, which is a digital audio.
Oh, yeah. Ableton Live. Know it very well. Yep.
And whenever I plug in the monitor, Ableton slows down and then crashes.
No!
Yes. And
well, that's not right.
I don't think that's right.
I wonder if it's because it's 4K, maybe? Or did you get the 4K ultrafine or the 5K ultrafine?
Yeah, 4K.
4K. I wonder if Ableton has trouble with that resolution. It runs fine on the Lenovo as, the Lenovo screen as a laptop. Huh.
Yep.
Well, that sounds like a bug in Ableton for sure.
Well, I was wondering whether it would be there's some drivers, ASIO for all, which you're supposed to install.
Those are the sound, the sound drivers.
Right.
I don't.
And then I'm wondering whether it would make sense to try to run the video off of HDMI or USB-C. I know I've got ports for both of those, and I don't know which is preferred.
So if you had 5K or you want high frame rate 4K, you could do either. You'd have to have the right HDMI cable, 2.1 cable, to do the high frame rate. The USB-C, the problem with USB-C is it can be a variety of things. It might be Thunderbolt over USB-C, DisplayPort over USB-C. That ultrafine you just got probably will work with DisplayPort.
It has DisplayPorts as well.
Yeah. And I imagine that the USB-C to USB-C would be... If you knew it was DisplayPort, that would be the best way. DisplayPort is to be preferred over HDMI. The other thing that might be going on, that ultrafine has speakers, yeah?
Yep.
I'm wondering if maybe the ASIO driver is trying to play a sound through the speaker, and that would probably... I would make sure you're not using... I presume if you're using Ableton, you're a musician, so you must have nice speakers. Make sure that those speakers are driven by the Lenovo and that the monitor is not getting in the way.
I've got it all hooked up to a receiver with speakers.
Sure, of course you do. Yeah.
Channeling it
from
the output, from the headsets of the laptop to a receiver.
Oh, that's interesting. You're taking the analog out, huh?
Right.
Yeah. I think one thing you could do to improve that, by the way, would be to use a DAC and take USB out and then convert it to analog sound. It would sound a lot better. Or, I don't know if that Lenovo has optical out. If it does, that would be even better going to the AV receiver. And it might eliminate this. HDMI takes sound with it. DisplayPort does not. So it might be if you use the DisplayPort, and I'm going to bet on that Lenovo, the Thunderbolt does DisplayPort. It's a pretty modern Lenovo.
No, I don't see any DisplayPort on the Lenovo.
Yeah, no, but it could be out the Type-C. What year is the Lenovo?
Just bought it.
Just bought it. So almost certainly that's Thunderbolt 4 and would probably support DisplayPort. You'll have to look at the specs. If it does, you get a Type-C to DisplayPort connector, or you could just plug a Type-C to Type-C. Actually, the LG would be smart enough to understand that it's DisplayPort coming in. And because that doesn't transmit, well, but then they might say, oh, but I'll get the audio from USB. I bet you anything it's the monitor audio that's causing the problem, but I don't know. It could also be a video driver. This is, typical driver thing. And it's hard because you have, not only do you have the regular drivers, you have these special ASIO drivers.
Right.
I would say if I were you,
way beyond my pay grade on all this stuff. Ableton is like being about 50 yards underwater and scratching up the surface.
It's fun though, isn't it?
Right. I am. It's an amazing piece of technology. Yeah. It's just.
Are you a musician?
For people. I play music. I am really more my wife is more of a musician. I play harmonica and keyboards. She's got a lot more musical knowledge than I do. But between the two of us, we put together great stuff.
Oh, that's awesome! You got
multi-tracks.
Yeah, you got a production studio in your laptop. Right. I am thinking, and I think the chat room is concurring. You'd be better off getting a analog to digital or a digital to analog converter to take the audio not out of the headphone jack, but out of the USB port of that laptop. It might also simplify. You may not need ASIO at all, because you'll be sending digital out instead of analog audio out, so you don't need the conversion.
That's cool.
I think that might, weirdly, it certainly would make your sound to be 10 times better. And
a DAC that's an extra piece of hardware I would buy, or is it download it?
Yeah, they're suggesting a Scarlett. That's what we use. Not expensive.
Audio interface.
Yeah, it's called an audio interface. Yes.
Oh,
it is a DAC. It takes the USB data and turns it into something that the AV receiver can handle. Actually, your AV receiver probably can do optical, so it could turn it into optical as well, and then to be a direct digital connection to the AV receiver. Some AV receivers have very good digital analog converters. Ultimately, you got to convert it to analog, or you won't hear it. And so
minor detail.
It's a minor thing. You better not to use the laptop's DAC, however. I haven't solved your problem at all. I've just given you a lot of things you should buy. But
that's another one that you might be able. I'll look into that. I've been wanting to get
Yeah, you should get an audio interface for sure. And then you could probably get rid of the ASIO drivers, and that might even solve the problem. There's something going on with the drivers in the monitor. It could be that the monitor wants audio, and now the drivers are crashing. It could be that it's 4K and
disabling the speakers on the monitor.
Just try that.
See if I can.
Yeah.
See that.
Or use DisplayPort only, because DisplayPort doesn't have audio.
Okay.
Have fun.
The other
hang on. I got to take a break, but I'll talk to you off the air. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Taking your calls, talking high tech. Rod Pyle, Spaceman. Coming up in 10 minutes. Stay right here. Yes, sorry about that. I had to play the music. You're still on with the podcast, however.
Yeah. You gotta run a business. I understand.
I don't got to, but they do. Yeah, I don't care.
Somebody's got to pay the bills.
I don't care.
I have a piece of. I used to do a database that would dial an actual phone for me, and it would track all my phone calls and all that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering, and I started out with DBase and then moved on up over the years, and it seems like the Microsoft products are pretty much out of date right now, that nobody uses these personal databases, but I'd still like to do that and figure out, is there a way to dial a cell phone from my PC?
Oh, sure. In the old days, we'd get a modem to do that, right? That's what one of the things a modem was capable of doing, is dialing a phone. But you want to dial your cell phone from your PC. Is it a Windows PC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So easiest way to do this is with a Microsoft program. It comes with Windows 10 or 11. You have to download it from the store, called Your Phone. So go to the store and look for Your Phone. Or maybe they changed it to My Phone. Oh, I'm sorry. Now it's called Phone Link. It used to be Your Phone. now it's called Phone Link, and that'll link up to an Android phone. Doesn't do it with iPhones, unfortunately. But you can then use your Android phone for phone calls. It works best with Samsungs, but I have it working with my Pixel. It will work with a Pixel as well. And you can do a bunch of things. You can see text messages. You can make and answer calls, and you can do photos as well.
Cool.
Do you have an Android phone?
Yes, I do.
You're in luck.
Old LG, in fact.
Yeah, because Apple will never let them do that. but yeah, it works pretty well actually. But you have to. The trick on Phone Link, as they now call it, is you have a lot of permissions you have to approve on the Android device for it to work. So you got to kind of. Yeah, of course. But it works quite nicely.
My male child is already over the age of 21, so I don't have to worry about that.
Nice. And then now they're telling me I'm an idiot that DisplayPort does support audio. I didn't realize that. I don't, of course, send audio over my DisplayPort, so maybe that's not going to solve it. But I certainly, you're doing the HDMI now?
Yeah.
I would just try Type-C. You need to have the right Type-C cable that passes the video through, but I would try it just to see if that solves it. It might just be, it's almost certainly a driver issue.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, and whether it's a video driver or audio driver. Yeah. Also, ASIO drivers are terrible. So getting rid of those would be a blessing.
And going with a Scarlett is probably the simplest way to.
Yeah, Scarletts are great.
An interface.
Yep. But when you go down that rabbit hole, there's lots of choices.
Yeah, but I need one of those anyway if we're going to record anything.
Yeah. Get a cheap one. Well, okay, so you want inputs and stuff. Yeah, Scarlett would probably be the right thing to do. They're only a couple $100, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. 200, 300, 400.
It all adds up.
How many? Yeah, it sure does.
It all adds up. Hey, pleasure talking to you. Stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Welcome back. Oh, wrong song. Didn't that sound like the beginning of Welcome Back, Cotter? Am I wrong? 8888, ask Leo. Maybe I'm just hearing things. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Rod Pa coming up, but we got lots of time to take your calls too. And old chef guy, my good friend from just up the road a piece, is on the line. Hello, old chef guy.
You had me totally with the hello back. I was with you going, hello, Cotter. And
it wasn't just me, was it?
What? No, I was totally there with you.
Yeah, weird.
So we've never talked about this part. I have a Pyle PR40.
Yes, much like me. Yours isn't gold like mine, though.
No, it is not. But my PR40 is the result of listening to you for many decades.
Oh, nice.
And I have an ID14 as my interface.
We're talking, by the way, about microphones, folks.
Oh, sorry, pardon me. I didn't mean to go.
I don't know what the ID14 is, though. What's that?
That's an Audient product.
Okay.
It's a high-end, really nice, clean.
That's an
but with no
analog to digital converter.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yeah. And sound into the computer records beautifully. No, nothing. I'm attempting to take a, air quotes, a landline and plug it into a box called the CircuitWorks Microtel, which might give you sweaty flashbacks to the radio days.
I do, yes.
That's where it was from.
Yes.
And I'm getting a hum.
Yeah. So part of the problem is that the phone interface is not a balanced input.
Yeah.
That's where the hum's coming from. In fact, for years, I haven't done this in a long time, but for years, we used something called a Henry box that would take the unbalanced phone input and balance it so that you could then plug it into a mixer of any kind. I just Googled Henry box and I got some guy named Henry Box Brown. So I don't think it's widely used anymore. Wow. Maybe let's see. Try Henry telephone converter.
I kind of thought that was one of the things that the CircuitWorks was supposed to do, but the problem when I called the company is that they're way too nerdy for me. Exactly. Haven't you hit the dip switches yet?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what you need to do is you need, it sounds like this Audient thing might do it, but you need to take an unbalanced input and convert it into something that it can understand. Henry is Henry Engineering out of Sierra Madre, California.
Cool.
And they are at henryeng.com. So I had a Henry for a long time.
Okay.
Another term for it is a matchbox.
Okay.
So, and I think that's where the buzz is coming from, is that you've got an unbalanced input. You're interfacing consumer electronics with professional equipment.
Oh, they hate that.
And so the matchbox fixes that.
Okay.
It'll take an unbalanced level and it'll convert it to a balanced level. Let me see how much a matchbox is. Oh, wow, $250. Yeah, I had one of these for years. That's how we connected the phone lines. What do we do now? I don't even know. Benito, what do we do? It's all digital. I don't think we have
It's all digital.
Yeah, we don't have phone inputs anymore. But they still sell the matchbox. I think that's kind of what you need. I would think the Audient would do it, but I don't. You had which?
The Audient has no kind of inputs. It only has XLR input.
Yeah, that's balanced. Yeah, so those are balanced inputs. That's why it's confused. So you just need something that will take the unbalanced, low quality from the phone and turn it into something that the Audient says, "Oh, I recognize this."
Yeah, the CircuitWorks has the RJ19 or
interesting.
in the back.
Well, if it has an RJ9 in the back, it should.
Yeah,
it should understand
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the buzz is typical of an unbalanced input.
Okay, I'm feeling a little unbalanced. Okay.
Are you doing a radio show in your house, old chef guy? What are you doing?
I am.
You're setting up to go into competition, huh?
I've been doing a show for 10 years.
Oh, nice. Where do we find it?
Okay. TalkToMeGuy.com.
TalkToMeGuy.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Space coming up. I didn't know that. What do you talk about?
Yeah. The crossroads of the environment and health.
The what?
The crossroads of the environment and our health.
TalkToMeGuy.com. So that's what you're using this word, because you want to take phone calls.
I want to take phone calls.
Nice.
Mostly I use it for a backup because I produce events for other people online.
Yeah.
Mostly I use it as a backup to monitor the audio feed because most of what I do is live to air like you.
Hey, you didn't offer me a cranial sacral head rub.
You'd have to lay down on the aisle. Trader Joe's, which might
I had no idea.
Yep. Yeah.
Ooh, cortisol, learning to master the hormone.
He's actually an interesting guy. He's a tech nerd, like a old school billionaire, kind of guy from Silicon Valley.
Huh.
Responsible for Angry Birds.
No.
Yep.
Wow. So this is a episode you did interviewing him.
Yeah, today.
Nice.
This morning at 9 o'clock.
Oh, Susie Bratton. I didn't know she was still around. Wow.
She's bad. Are we off air?
No, we're not. Don't talk about her. So now she's doing something else, though. She's
oh boy, is she doing it?
She's a character.
She's a brainiac. She is serious. I've interviewed her a bunch.
Yeah, she's very smart.
She's very smart.
I actually really like her. I've never met her, but I like her. I mean, obviously it's a little adult from me, but
yeah,
very cool. Yeah.
No, and actually,
she's moved on. It looks like she's kind of moved on.
Well, yeah. She's moved on and dragged other things that she has always done.
Okay.
I was talking about health as libido as a biomarker of health is how I would.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. No, she's really good.
That's fair. Yeah. It's all her husband's fault.
Exactly. VB is an interesting guy because he just is in the process of getting out a way to monitor your cortisol.
Yeah.
Using saliva. Using the phone to read the saliva strip. So you can then have in real time, in less than 5 minutes, you're doing your own at-home cortisol monitoring.
Cortisol is the stress hormone.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's a big issue for sleep and all sorts of stuff. Yep. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, I got to run.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chef Guy. Next time, I want a cranial sacral massage, please.
Okay, I'll grab your head.
I'm going to listen to your podcast. This looks great.
Great.
Do you only do it live?
Well, it goes out to all the world, but yeah, I do produce it live, yeah.
Nice.
I like live. It was a habit I got from you.
It is a great. I love live. Yeah. Well,
I love the cinematic tension that it adds to
perfect description. Perfect description. Yeah. Yeah. It's as long as we can continue to afford it, I will continue to do live. It's a little pricey, as you know.
You can go back to being in a cottage. That would be great.
I could. Great to talk to you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, Richard. Take care. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that song tells you one thing. It's time for Rod Pyle, Spaceman. Rod is the editor-in-chief of the National Space Society's official magazine, Ad Astra, which you must subscribe to. It's a requirement. NSS.org. You must. And then he's written all these great books. I have the pile here of just a few. Interplanetary Robots, True Stories of Space Exploration, Amazing Stories of the Space Age. You must have liked pulp magazines, pulp sci-fi when you were a young man. Absolutely. Those are pulp
because
titles.
In those days you just kind of threw your suitcase in the rocket and went.
Right.
You pushed the button that said up and everything was fine after that. But people should not subscribe to Ad Astra until after they've joined Club Twit.
No.
Okay.
We want to support the NSS.
Well, that's true.
And this is you get an actual magazine, which Club Twit does not have an actual magazine. And I think
can do a magazine for you.
It's safe to say never will.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we want to get in the print business. This is my favorite. First on the Moon, the coffee table book for the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. Wonderful.
And you know what? 2 weeks ago, I got another royalty check for that book. I almost forgot what they were like. It's like, whoa, wait, money here.
Here's your 35 cents. Congratulations.
No, it was a
nice size check.
Largest one.
Good.
Yeah, it was
as it should be.
Enough for 3 Henry boxes, maybe.
Rod also hosts This Week in Space, our podcast at twit.tv/TWIS, but most importantly, joins us every week. They to talk about space. They decided that with the hurricane coming, they decided to leave Artemis on the pad, and they made the right choice. It's fine, right?
It's fine. There's a little bit of stuff, but it turned out it was fine.
Good.
And there's something that that we all have to stay aware of, which is as we've talked about, you can only roll that thing back and forth so many times. It's a rattly trip.
It's a rattly trip, and it takes a long time, right?
So they just tweeted out, I think yesterday, that it's good for 11 rolls. So there's that first rollout when you hope that the thing will go, and then it can go back and forth 10 more times. So they've got a couple left, but nobody wants that. So they're supposed to launch Tuesday, November 15th. There's going to be, we think, an announcement tonight to tell us whether it'll be the 15th or the 19th. So we'll see. Nothing really to be said about that except fingers crossed. But I did want to mention the San Diego Air and Space Museum down in San Diego is doing a live video cast on YouTube, whichever day it launches, which is not a big deal. You can get that from NASA, but they are having commentary by legendary flight directors Gene Kranz and Jerry Griffin, both of Apollo and shuttle years. So that makes it really cool.
Yeah.
So that website is youtube.com/SDASM. So that'll be a great place to be hanging out the day of with a cup of your favorite beverage.
Kidding. Oh, I'd love to. Yeah. So NASA broadcasts these.
Yeah, but they, it's what you'd expect. It's fairly low end commentary,
and it's public domain.
Yeah,
because we paid for it, so anybody could take that video and do their own commentary. Is that what these guys are doing?
Yeah, and I mean, you can try and get special permission, but there's no reason to, because as you point out, it's all owned by the public. But then you get these two incredible historical figures in there to talk about it and how it compares to launching the Saturn V and what's changed since then and why we worry about rockets,
I haven't
flight and all that
ever been to the San Diego Air and Space Museum. I don't think I knew it was there.
It's nice.
Is it worth?
It's not huge.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very nice. It's one of those. It's laid out in a more experiential way, so you're walking through little dioramas and things, which makes it a lot of fun.
Oh, next time I'm down, I will have to check it out.
Well, after you come to the boat,
I'll come to your boat, and then I'll check out the Air and Space Museum. One of my favorite museums is the Udar Hazy in Washington,
I haven't
D.C.
been there.
What?
You know, I've been to the big Smithsonian, the main one, National Air and Space Museum, 2 or 3 times, but I haven't been to Udvar-Hazy yet. So that's definitely
it's incredible. It's such a big, I think it's an old hangar. It's so big. They have, the space shuttle is inside.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And in LA, we're about to get our space shuttle. They're working on the new building now, and that's the one that's going to be mounted vertically with SRBs and external tanks. So it's going to be a launch configuration. I wish they'd have steam coming off of it, but you can only get what you can get. So we have another story though. Yes. There's a project called LOFTID, LOFTID, that NASA's been working on for a while, and this is an inflatable heat shield. So when you're sending spacecraft to places like Mars, primarily robotic at this point, but eventually this could be applied to human-rated systems. Heat shields at Mars especially are a problem because the atmosphere is thin enough to heat up and give you grief, but not thick enough to really slow you down. Right?
Oh,
it's kind of the worst.
Yeah.
So that's why you get things like Sky Crane, which is very involved. It's got a heat shield, parachutes. It's got to rappel down the ropes after it's had deceleration rockets fire and all that. And they figure the Perseverance and Curiosity probes are about as large and heavy as that'll work for. They're about a ton. So they've been working on inflatable heat shields. JPL tested it twice back in the 2015s. Didn't work out like they wanted. NASA just tested a new one called LOFTID, which is one of those indecipherable acronyms, on November 10th, and it worked. So it went up to 72 miles, inflated, came back down, did what it was supposed to do. You've got it there.
It's a funny,
didn't
funny
burn
image.
up.
Yeah,
it is, but it's incredible because now rocket fairings, until we get the bigger ones, are generally about 15 feet in diameter, and that's how big you have to have a heat shield smaller than that. But this means you can have something 2 or 3 times that size go up in that smaller rocket and still give you this enormous area. So it not only slows down more, but it distributes the heat better. And it gives you all kinds of advantages. This was about 20 feet in diameter. And what's showing there is as it's coming down, it ejects a little black box. So you get all the telemetry data just in case it gets lost when it comes down the ocean.
But they are able to recover it. Can they reuse it? Do they reuse it or no?
That's not the plan. I mean, they might be able to, but
they don't want to leave.
It's a pretty tough trip coming down, and these are fabric bags.
Yeah, right? You don't want to leave it lying around in the ocean. So
right. Yeah. So after 3,000 degrees of heat, I think it's probably just to build another one. The outer surface was made from woven ceramic and silicon carbide yarn.
Just like the Terminator. That's incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
Then weaved into a denim type fabric. Couple of layers of insulation behind that and a gas barrier. So yeah, this thing's a beast. And the polymer that the inflatable bags are made out of is 10 times stronger than steel by weight. So I thought that was all very neat because this really opens up the door to a lot of things. It'll help land heavier payloads on Mars. And then on places like Venus and the moon Titan, where you've got thicker atmospheres, you could probably use this without parachutes or braking rockets, just this. And the Soviet Union did something like this with one of the Venus probes back in the 70s and 80s, where they came down with kind of an inverted umbrella type thing. So it's a kind of a geeky story, and I'm kind of a geeky guy.
Oh, no, I love this.
This
stuff.
opens up a lot of stuff.
Sure. And I'm just saying, once they recover it, if they made blue jeans out of it, they could probably sell them for a good price and fund the next one.
And then we could all buy Elon's flamethrowers
and we'd be safe.
And test our jeans, and we'd be okay.
Yeah.
We just need a shirt made of the same stuff.
Yeah,
you and I.
What?
There's potential here for a lot of money with these great product ideas we have.
Always thinking.
To heck with buying Twitter.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
And by the way, I jumped on Mastodon just to take a look.
Yeah.
Little bit of a learning curve there.
It's not the same, but that's one of the reasons we like it. By the way, somebody is redoing NASA's Twitter stream on Mastodon, so you can get all of the NASA goodness on Mastodon. I think eventually, a lot of brands are going to say, do we really want to be on this crazy site? Maybe there's other places to go. And of course, I'm a big fan of having a website. I think that's just a good idea in general.
Yeah, and it's a shame because NASA got a lot of good penetration into the public mindset through Twitter.
It's true. When the Discovery was talking and so forth. That's cool stuff, yeah. Rod Pyle, space.nss.org and twit.tv/twists. Thank you, Rod.
Thank you, Commander.
Thank you for letting me be your tech guy every weekend right here. Really appreciate it. This is a part of the show where we roll the credits, the audio credits. I thank, of course, Professor Laura, our musical director, who plays all the hits in between, before and after commercials, that kind of thing. Thanks to, of course, our phone angel, the wonderful Kim Schaffer. She gets you on the air, prepares you for your appearance on national radio, pastes down the cowlicks and everything. And then, of course, thanks to you for listening and calling and participating. We really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. I think there's time for a couple more calls before we roll this thing up. Ann is on the line from Fullerton, California. Hello, Ann.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, thanks for calling.
I have the opportunity to buy a new TV, and I'm going to be replacing our family's 32-inch 2009 Samsung.
Oh, it's about time.
Yes, that's what everyone in my family has been saying.
32 inches when we were young was huge.
Well, right, and it seems big to me, but
no.
My kids let me know that it's not.
Mom.
To upgrade.
We have a TV at home. Yeah. It is time to upgrade. And the good news is TVs in the intervening 13 years have really gotten good. Bad news is they're more expensive than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in a living room? Where's the TV?
The TV's in the living room, and so I've been doing some looking around, but I'm just overwhelmed with all the different.
Sure, and the thing that you choose the size of the TV based on how far away you're sitting. Mm-hmm. So how far away are you sitting?
Oh, probably 10 feet.
Yikes! How can you even watch TV on a little 32-inch? It's this little postage stamp. So you're going to want to go get ready for this 55 inches at least. The kids will probably want 65, but 55, given where you're coming from, is going to be a big jump. The good news is the prices start to really go up after 55. 55 is a good size. Those are fairly economical, but it's still going to be $1,000.
Oh, wow.
I know. What's your budget?
I was thinking more 500.
Okay. No, we can do that. The key is going to be you can't get the names like Samsung, Sony, the big names you can't get, LG. Mm-hmm. But there are some very good names. First place I'd look is TCL.
Okay.
TCL makes very nice TVs. They're a kind of a second-tier Chinese manufacturer, and I think they really want to get in the market. So I'm looking at a TCL 55-inch for $300.
Oh, perfect.
And it's a nice TV. It comes with Roku built in, so you can have your Disney Plus. How old are the kids?
10, 15, and 18.
So you probably want Disney for the 10-year-old, Netflix for the older kids, that kind of thing. And it comes with that all built in because they support something called Roku. So I think those TCLs, this is what I got my mom. I think they're very, very good. You can get a fancier TCL. The 6 series is $689, but even the less fancy one would be fine. These are a little bit older models. They're not the latest, greatest state-of-the-art. Let's see. Here's a Class 5 TCL 55-inch 2022 model, $419. I'm looking on Amazon. $419 on Amazon. So that is probably what you should get, I think. That's
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, right now, I have to undo red, yellow, and white cables to plug in like the
No, it'll be all digital now. It'll all be HDMI.
They say, Mom, no one does this with TV.
If the 18-year-old is kind of incentivized to really get this thing fixed up, let the 18-year-old help you with the cabling and all that stuff. You may. The speakers on this are okay, but not great. They're not going to be worse than your Samsung, but it's always nice to save a little money for a sound bar so you get a little bit better sound. TCL actually sells sound bar bundles too. You can go to a big box store and look at these. You know, your Costco.
Well, my brother gave me a sound bar, but I didn't know what it was.
Oh.
So I just kept it in the box.
Good. You're set.
And then my son said, Mom, you can do Bluetooth with this. You can So
your son clearly knows what's going on and wants to help. So this is good. Yeah, I would not hesitate to look at TCL. I am looking and I'm seeing, at Best Buy, for instance, some pretty good deals. This is a Black Friday is a good time to buy a TV. You can get a very big Samsung. You're going to want UHD. That's one letter you want, and HDR. Samsung 75-inch, really big for $579 right now at Best Buy.
Wow.
So there are definitely some really good deals out there. This is, Black Friday time. So I would go to a big box store near you. They'll have them all out on display and you can choose. But keep TCL in mind. That's a very good low-cost brand.
Well, thank you so much, Leo. I enjoy listening to your show.
Thank you.
My dad listened to you for years and years and years, and I sure enjoy hearing your voice in my kitchen. You remind me of him when I'm listening.
Oh, what's Dad's name?
Robert.
Well, we'll dedicate this show to Robert.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Ann. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good afternoon. Thanks.
You too.
Bye.
Enjoy your new TV. You're entering a whole new world of entertainment. Alex, our last call of the day, I think from Northridge. Hello, Alex.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. What's up?
Awesome. I have a few Mac Minis, actually.
Nice.
They are Intel i7 and i9. And the OS on them is 10.8.
Yeah, because they're Intel and Apple has kind of moved on to their own chips.
Yeah. So how can I at least get it to the latest version of Mac OS?
So they won't install Ventura? Did they say we won't install Ventura?
Well, I can't find it anywhere. In order to do Ventura or anything, I have to get to 10.9.
Oh, yeah. So these are fairly old.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't get to Ventura if they're that old. So just do the updates as far as you can, but you won't get to Ventura. There are backdoor ways to install Ventura on older systems. I don't talk about it much because I'm nervous about updates and all of that. But you can certainly do it. There's a little driver that you download and put it on there. I would back up before you do it and be ready to go back to the old Mac OS. But let me see if I can find the link to that. It's called
I'm going to reformat the computer anyways. I don't.
Okay, so you don't care. So it's called the Open Core Patcher. I'll put a link in the show notes to it. But you can also search for it online. The Open Core Legacy Patcher, and you put it on your Mac, and it will allow you. Even though Apple says, oh, no, you can't install on that. It'll allow you to install the latest version of Mac OS. How it will work, I can't promise. There's a reason Apple says no. But on the other hand, I know a lot of people who do, in fact, do this and are very happy. So if you want the latest version, search for Open Core Legacy Patcher on Google. You'll find it. It's on a GitHub site. You can download it, install it, and then upgrade. And you'll be able to get to the more modern versions. I think it doesn't necessarily support Ventura. I think they've only got it up to, is it Big Sur? Maybe even Monterey. But check, you'll see. Hey, that's it for us today. Thank you so much for being here. I will put a link to that and all the things we talked about on the show today up in the show notes at techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. And we'll also put audio and video and a transcript up there after the fact. And I will be here next week. I hope you will be too. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great geek week. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech. And you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on. And of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.